Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the very last day of this decade and 2019. And welcome to this very special edition of A Simple Man's Rant in Wrestling, the first ever two-person panel. Now, I'm just a simple man, and my name is Noah Foster, and welcome, as I said, to this very special wrestling video to end the decade, where in this edition, we are going to discuss the last year, yes, 2019 as a whole, event by event, based on what I could conceive and have in my notes and could find for the English and Japanese sections and I could watch in time, of New Japan Pro Wrestling, as we once again prepare for a new decade in the leader of sports streaming, as well as its kickoff this weekend with Wrestle Kingdom. But before all that, allow me, of course, to introduce you to my guest tonight on the first ever dual edition of this. You all should know him because we are the Simple Holiday. He's a family man. He has his own channel with some great stuff. You need a break from all the stresses of life and just want to hear some simple thoughts on wrestling? Go follow this man on his channel. It's, of course, my good friend here and fellow Team NJPW member, The Holiday, Mr. Christopher Mace. Chris, how are you?
I'm doing good. Like I said, it's been a good New Year's Eve, so it's time to relax and wind down before I head to work tomorrow. So, time to talk a little bit of wrestling here.
Yeah, a little bit might be literally an understatement. But yeah, I mean, when you look back on this year alone, New Japan Pro Wrestling has made incredible strides in its growth, its expansion, and overall just product showcase. And that's why, of course, I believe New Japan Pro Wrestling is the number one in sports streaming, as they like to put it, but basically in professional wrestling. But it certainly had a lot of stiff competition, and you could say some help, and brought some teases of maybe things to come. But with that, let's just go ahead and get started. So here's how this is going to work, folks. We are going to go through month by month through the biggest events and think about our biggest moments and takeaways from each event. So we got to start off, of course, at the beginning of the year. And what started this year, folks? Wrestle Kingdom. This marked the 13th Wrestle Kingdom, of course, from the iconic date in New Japan Pro Wrestling, January 4th. And boy, was it a banger. You think about the pre-show opener where they no longer do the Honor Rumble, as Cindy G puts it. Sorry, Cindy. But since they have the six-man never openweight tag team championships, they now run a gauntlet, usually to determine the number one contenders for those titles. However, in this coming Wrestle Kingdom, the titles will be on the line. But in this year's Wrestle Kingdom 2019, that was not the case. But there was definitely one team that really shined a different attitude based on their disdain that their leader was in the pre-show, and that was Minoru Suzuki, as Suzuki-gun ran roughshod. But in the end, the New Japan Pro Wrestling, I guess you could say main unit, as they put it on their website, of Togi Makabe, Toru Yano, and the coach, Ryusuke Taguchi, they won the never openweight six-man tag team championships and successfully retained them, of course, following New Year's Dash. Now, we go through Wrestle Kingdom and we get a bunch of other incredible moments as well. So we're just going to talk about briefly what maybe was one of our favorite matches or moments of the night. Chris, you weren't with Team ADQ in our debut of our Predictions League, but I'm sure you watched Wrestle Kingdom as you have now become a fan of Japan Wrestling, and I'm sure you've been a fan of Japan Pro Wrestling. So based on this year's Wrestle Kingdom, what was your biggest takeaway from it?
Oh, I like the Jericho match. That's the one I can fondly remember. Like I said, folks, at this time, I didn't really start getting into New Japan until we started doing the G1 series, and that's when I really got into more familiar with it. I knew
Oh,
some of
yeah.
the history, but not a whole lot of the history. I could tell you who was the U.S. people who held their heavyweight title. I could tell you some of the history of that, the controversy with Brock Lesnar when him leaving and Wade made the third belt and all that stuff. I could tell you that history. I said, and knew a little bit about Bullet Club. I knew a little bit about Shinsuke Nakamura and stuff like that. But as for getting into it, I really didn't get into it much until G1 series, so I'll know a little bit more when we get into there. But I do remember the Jericho match. I believe he was wrestling. I think it was Naito. Was it not? Yeah,
Yes, you are
because
correct.
He was still the Intercontinental Champion. He defended against Naito, and the Naito was able to beat him and stuff like that. But you were thinking, okay, well, this start because Naito was one of those ones that I was like, when is he going to get the big one? When is he going to get the IWGP Heavyweight Title? He was one of those one that was intriguing, and I had a feeling Jericho was going to get a matchup this year, sometime this year for the IWGP Heavyweight Title. But it was one of those things. I was like trying to learn about this and understand what was going on and everything. I'm like going, okay, this is interesting. So I have watched it back, but still like going, oh, I understand that now. But I can remember that Jericho Naito match distinctly.
All right, fair enough. I'll just run briefly through the card. It opened up, of course, with Kota Ibushi versus Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay always wanted to face Kota Ibushi. This was the start of Will Ospreay's ascent into proving that he wasn't just the aerial assassin, he was the assassin. As he and Kota put on one hell of an opener to the point, Kota got concussed. But in the end, Will Ospreay became the new never overweight champion. We had a three-way for the IWGP Junior Tag Team Championships based on the results of the Super Junior Tag League. And in the end, it was a very good night for Los Ingobernables de Japón as Shingo and I gotta remember the partner Bushi. They won the titles, but this started the feud that would become Shingo versus Sho as we progress through the year. And then you follow that and you get the new Rev Pro British Heavyweight Championship, the current one being put into the museum, currently held by Tomohiro Ishii. And that title changed like 7 times apparently through 2018. But Zack Sabre Jr. trapped Ishii where he couldn't even use his hands and arms to get to the ropes. Literally had to verbally said, I give up. And as Taka put it, he just tapped out. And Zack Sabre Jr., of course, who prides himself in British wrestling, long leg saberism. And then we had the good bad guy, Tama Tonga, trying to win the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team titles from Evil and Sonata, and of course, I believe it was the Young Bucks, yes. And they didn't. In the end, it was, again, Los Ganadores de Japón. They won those titles. And then we go into the junior heavyweight division where the new Bone Soldier and later member of Bullet Club, Taiji Mori, was introduced, and he faced the time splitter now NXT Kushida for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship, and he won with a bloody cross. A very competitive match, of course, Back to the Future type entrance. But then you get to the main card where you find Okada going through what some would call maybe a midlife crisis with the pink hair, Scooby-Doo, balloons, and the cheesy smile. But then he faces the Switchblade, Jay White, with now running mate Gato after the shock that happened in Kobe in 2018. And we get the original Rainmaker back. Full Rainmaker entrance and all. I was super ecstatic for that. But somehow Jay White beats the man on the biggest stage in the mall within 20 minutes. Certainly was a shock that really proved to be a difference maker in Jay White's year and his continued unbelievable career in New Japan Pro Wrestling. And then, as you put it, we got, and I don't have my hat, sorry, the Painmaker, before he became Painmaker, though, but the GOAT himself, Chris Jericho, defending his IWGP Intercontinental Championship that he won back in Dominion 2018, and successfully defended against Evil, against Tranquilo, Tetsuya Naito, and he even got Tetsuya Naito to make it a no DQ match. These two are bickering back and forth, they assaulted each other with chairs and press conferences, and this match, through every dirty trick from both men, we had Destino kick out to Destino kick out, Jericho being the crafty veteran he is, using everything at his disposal, multiple walls of Jericho and code breakers, but it was not enough as pretty much the demon of Naito became the difference maker, and Naito won back the IWGP Intercontinental title, and eventually scarred out Red Shoe's eyes for reasons. But then you go to the main event that was basically about a battle of ideologies. While one man preferred the original way New Japan Pro Wrestling was founded upon, and even brought out of the dark ages through that, you have the man himself who wanted to change the world and was changing the scope of professional wrestling with everything he did. And we all saw what that led to, bigger and bigger things. And of course, I am talking about the ace of New Japan, Hiroshi Tanahashi, versus the cleaner, Kenny Omega, in a match to be remembered. Now, really, this was a very interesting match on multiple circumstances with the rise, of course, of All Elite Wrestling, as was, of course, denoted at their press rally. Oh, yeah, and Cody also defended the title against Juice Robinson, and Juice Robinson won, obviously. But we already knew that most of the Elite, their contracts were up and about, and since they pretty much confirmed that they're starting their own company, they're pretty much going to go off and do their own thing, which of course would conflict New Japan Pro Wrestling schedule. And I feel like this was a heavy weight on Kenny Omega, too, why he was the champion. Hence probably why the ace even won for more of a reason than that. But in the end, after surviving multiple V-triggers, and pretty much the only thing that Omega didn't do to the ace was the one-wing angel, the ace pulls off the high-five flow towards the end to finally give him the win, 1, 2, 3, and the ace is the first one to cash in on his win of the G1 certificate and actually win the title at Wrestle Kingdom, which of course set up the rest of the year. And the biggest things I could take away from New Year's Dash, Yoshihashi, the headhunter, makes his return. Taishi with the chair shot heard around the world. Damn. And, of course, the good bad guy and the rest of Bullet Club, they're trying to get more gold. They challenge for the six-man openweight championships, and they fail. Go figure. But also during this, Jay White, he makes a proclamation. And usually when Jay White says something, he makes it come true. And obviously he was going to do something after Wrestle Kingdom with the biggest win of his career, some would say. He said, "This is my new era." As he continues to work over the champ because he pinned the champion in the final tag match of New Year's Dash, thus setting up what would become the Switchblade era. And pretty much that led us into the New Beginning Tour in February. By the way, Wrestle Kingdom 13 apparently had an attendance of about a little more than 38,000 people. So very well done on them. I truly hope they can, as they said they did, but they can get close to 50,000. Okada said exclusively he wants 60,000. But can he make that happen? I don't know. All right. Before we go into February, is there anything else on your mind based on what I discussed, or anything you could think of from January?
Yeah, I want to know your opinion. Had Kenny Omega never had left, do you think he would have lost that IWGP Heavyweight title? That's an interesting question that gets brought up a lot by people. You got to think he built him up with Okada. He lost to him twice. Then I think, if I remember right, they had the tie in the third one, and then when they had their matchup, when he finally was able to defeat him for the IWGP Heavyweight title, they built him up so much, being the one he could never hit his finish on him. They built this up with him and Okada for him finally to win it. Do you think if Ali had not come about, do you still think we'd be talking about all these other champions we've had this year, or do you still think Kenny Omega would be the champion right now?
I honestly have to believe that Kenny Omega would still probably be champion because according to reports, as you also heard, that was the original idea. It was originally supposed to be Kenny Omega with a further push towards the line to set up once again Kenny Omega versus Okada, which some would say was the feud of the decade. Because as you put it, they had the incredible match at Wrestle Kingdom 11, and then they had the continuation of the rivalry in the G1 Climax, where that match went to Omega. And then they had another match following that for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship that went to a 60-minute draw. Following Okada's continued reign of his longest reign with that title, then Okada literally calls out Omega, who, of course, reformed the Golden Lovers with Kota Ibushi due to, in rivalry with Bullet Club and the Young Bucks. That led to a great near 60-minute classic on U.S. soil between Young Bucks and Golden Lovers. But Okada calls out Omega. He says, "You are the only real blip on my record. I need to beat you." And then Omega says, "Let's throw out the clock." They throw out the clock. And at Dominion last year, with Kota Ibushi in his corner, 65 minutes plus, I might add, 2 out of 3 falls, it came to the cleaner at last. But it wasn't just about the title that night. It was about the reunion of the friendship that seemed to have been shattered or really faltering between him and the Young Bucks. And then the Young Bucks, Omega, and Ibushi, they embrace and thus reform the Golden Elite. So yes, if it wasn't for the fact that this came into existence, I'm pretty sure that Omega would still be champion. And would he still be champion coming in 2019? I don't think so, considering everything that has happened with New Japan Pro Wrestling as a whole. But to answer your question, yeah, I believe he still would be at this point. But now we go into February for the New Beginning Tour, and we start with Sapporo. And basically, we're challenging Los Ingobernables de Japón to see if they can keep their titles. You first had Evil and Sonata face the former IWGP Tag Team Champion, in El Desperado and Kashinobu Shibaro, the heel master. They retained. You also had the duo of Bushi and Single challenging to keep their titles against Sho and Yo, and they retained. But again, they're continuing because the biggest thing shown in these matches is Sho and Single, and we're just waiting for the big one-on-one to happen. And then, of course, at the end of that event, you had Naito versus Taiji. That nearly didn't happen for the IWGP Intercontinental title because before the match even started, the soon-to-retire Lasuga, apologies if I screwed up that name, the man with the iron glove, or finger, he attacks the man from behind and just barrels and destroys him down. And we got like 10, 15 minutes of, hey, doctors, can he continue? Oh, he can't. He's going to the back. I win by forfeit. Tell them. Of course, Taiji's saying this in Japanese. But he gets back to the ring, and they do have the match. And Taiji, he did not want the same spot to happen that happened to him, as you know, last year, where Naito took that mic stand and literally broke it over his head. Damn. And basically, Naito, he retained the title, and LIJ, clean sweep, they retained all their gold. Despite the fact that Taiji, he thought he would be the better man here, and he played Fire Pro Wrestling and basically played this match out. Thought, oh, okay, I can be in the video game, beat him by limits. I can do this here in Sapporo. Didn't happen. All right. Now, I think you know a little bit about Osaka because it was the rise of Okada as he faced one of his toughest rivalries to date, definitely the biggest. But we also had a tremendous return and an announcement. So give me your brief thoughts on some of the events that occurred in the new beginning in Osaka.
Oh, sweet mother of God. Oh, Lord. I know they were getting ready to build up Okada to challenge for the title again. I do remember that because I know hey, look, folks, I'm be honest with you. Like I said, I didn't really get into this at G1, but I've been learning some of this. So some of this is, you got to bear with me on some of this. When we get to G1, I know a whole lot about the G1 and on forward.
Right, but I want you to into, of course, events up to that, and I'm going to help you with a little bit of background. So there you go.
The Okada, I remember they were building up Okada because I believe it was that Ring of Honor show. They were getting ready to have that Ring of Honor New Japan show they're getting ready to have for WrestleMania. But if I remember right, wasn't it Jay White that won the title, and then that's who Okada beat was Jay White to win the title?
Yes, that is correct. Because in Osaka...
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Because I remember Jay White's going to end up won the title, and then I was aggravated because I felt like he had a short run because Okada beat him at that Ring of Honor special that they did on WrestleMania weekend with them, and New Japan had that show together, and then Okada beat him, and Okada's been the champion ever since then. And I know that's why he also was determined that he was going to get his golden proclamation. He was going to be getting this gold, and that's how we have the storyline now where he's also wanting both titles going into Wrestle Kingdom. He wants to still be the Intercontinental Champion, plus he wants to get the IWGP Heavyweight title. But this all stems from the fact that he lost it to Okada during that show.
Exactly. But basically, to sum up what you said, during the new beginning, you're right. So let's go ahead and break down some of the events. In Osaka, we had Kota Ibushi, who returns from his concussion. Kota Ibushi's always been this enigma. You never know if he's truly happy. You never know where his future is going to lead. But he made one announcement that pretty much showed us where his wrestling career will end. New Japan Pro Wrestling, I'm staying. Kota Ibushi officially proclaimed that he is staying with New Japan Pro Wrestling for the long run, basically for life. So no one had any worries about that. Japanese commentator was ecstatic. We still had the good bad guy Tomatonga going on here, but he finally broke and went into original bad guy character, destroying everybody in a chaos tag match. And then Okada, he faces Bad Luck Fale in a specials match and gets brutalized, but somehow he pulls off, I don't know how Okada did this, he pulls off a superplex on Fale and a Rainmaker and gets a huge, huge win. Thus, we have the Rainmaker basically back, the original, the one that kicked everyone's ass. And then we figure out the main event. Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Switchblade Jay White for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. Jay White earned this not only because of his proclamation, but because he's been insulted in the A's, but he also made Tanahashi tap out February 2nd. And Osaka has been a place of shocks when it comes to the New Beginning Tour, or just tours in general. Back in 2012, we of course had the Rainmaker shock, where Kazuchika Okada beat Hiroshi Tanahashi for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. So what we're going to have the Switchblade shock 7 years later? Yes, we did. And thus, the new era was officially born. Now, as we move on from there, we go into a short little tour between Ring of Honor and New Japan Pro Wrestling. They were already on, wavy ground, shaky ground, but they had some pretty good matches here. You had, Dalton Castle going after Will Ospreay for the never win title. He lost. But the biggest things I took out of this was, a couple. Goda and Cobb, they had a long-term rivalry. They battled each other countless times, and Cobb, of course, putting up his Ring of Honor TV Championship against Goto. He successfully retained it. And then you had the biggest blood feud out of Ring of Honor and New Japan Pro Wrestling up to this point. Them boys, the Briscoes versus the Destiny. The Briscoes, of course, they still were the Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions. But they had to put up their titles against FinJuice. Juice Robinson and David Finlay. This will also be the time when David Finlay gets horribly injured. But, however, the Briscoes, they retain. So now it's up to GOD to make the title-for-title match happen, it seems, because this was already being teased. They had to beat Evil and Sonata. Evil and Sonata and GRD are no strangers to each other at all when it comes to one-up tag team confrontations. I mean, they face each other in the World Tag League, and freaking GOD, they beat them there. But could they win the gold, especially now that Tama Tonga is the bad guy? Yep, they did it. And what happens at the end of the show? We get GOD and the Briscoes face-to-face, titles for titles. This would set up things to come. And that was basically the biggest things I took from Honor Rising. And that was February, in my opinion.
And this is why Evil's my favorite wrestler, y'all, just in case anybody forgets that.
Yeah, in case you watch the first time, Evil is his favorite wrestler. And I got some Evil matches I'm sure he's going to talk about after I talk about them. But anyway, now we move into March, and of course, the first thing in March is, of course, the anniversary shows. Celebrating New Japan Pro Wrestling and setting up special matches. They had their 47th, that's right, 47th anniversary show, and it was headlined by the following. You had Sho and Yo versus Shingo and Bushi for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championships. 1 year ago in this very building and anniversary show, Roppongi 3K, they lost the title to former champs Yoshinobu Kanemaru and El Desperado, who of course held those titles all the way into Wrestle Kingdom. But lightning basically struck twice when it came to the same stipulation, and Roppongi 3K redeemed themselves. They regained those IWGP Tag Team titles, and Rocky Romero was ecstatic. But there was also another match that was set up here between Jushin Thunder Liger and the now reborn leading champion of the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Division, the Bone Soldier Taiji Ishimori. Now, the biggest thing about this was Taiji Ishimori, he already defended the title against Rizuki Taguchi during the New Beginning tour. But then he called out Jushin Thunder Liger. Jushin warned him, don't you call me out, because you know I'm going to beat you fast. And somehow during a tag match, in a flash tag, he got caught with a flash roll-up, and Jushin Thunder Liger beat Ishimori in less than 10 seconds. It was astonishing, all right? Astonishing. Which basically led towards this match finally being official, and Jushin Thunder Liger getting an opportunity again to be IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion. And these two have a near 25-minute plus match, but in the end, Taiji Ishimori, to prove why he believes he should be the man leading New Japan Pro Wrestling, he has beaten the legend himself, Jushin Thunder Liger, who of course bows to the audience and leads the ring to Taiji. Taiji, of course, now, Ishimori, by the way, people, he basically says, I need a new challenger. I'm willing to face anybody from Ring of Honor. Just come on out. Nobody from Ring of Honor comes out, but somebody from CMLL comes out, who now is known as Ryu Lee, Dragon Lee, who is no stranger to New Japan Pro Wrestling. And basically, he calls him out on that challenge, and we are getting this title match set up if New Japan Pro Wrestling and Ring of Honor, who are partners with CMLL, they make the match official. Now, of course, down the line, they make the match official. But the biggest thing about that night, for me, was definitely the special between Will Ospreay and Jay White. This really showed me that Jay White, it wasn't just fluke or circumstances or he's a flash in the pan, that he won the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. But this also showed me that Will Ospreay, he's no one you can underestimate, and he's someone who can go against the best. These guys went for 40 damn minutes, and they threw everything at each other. But in the end, the Switchblade Jay White won, proving why he is the best and who is the man. And of course, everyone tries to destroy Will Ospreay, and of course, we get our setup for the biggest New Japan Cup to date. 32-man field, and we have 5 prime candidates in the ring who claim they're going to win it. Hiroki Goto, Kota Ibushi, Will Ospreay, Hiroshi Tanahashi, and of course, Rainmaker, Kazuchika Okada. So, now we go into the New Japan Cup. Now, Chris, I know you didn't get into the G1, but did you watch any of the New Japan Cup at all? What do you most remember from it?
I honestly didn't watch the New Japan Cup. That's why I told you. I said I know a lot about this, but not as much about this at the beginning of the year. But I will say I did watch that Jay White and Will Ospreay match, and I will say after watching that match back, that's why I realized why you said that you believe Will Ospreay could become the IWGP Heavyweight Champion by watching that match, because that was a true classic match. That was one of my favorite matches of Will Ospreay's, actually watching that match back, and I thought there was a few I liked already. Especially with Zack Xavier Jr. I like, but I'm going to say that one, that made me a believer saying, yep, I can believe you can win that heavyweight title.
Oh, yeah. All right, so let me go ahead and briefly go through the New Japan Cup. It was the largest field possible with 32 men. You had debuts, you had breakout stars, and of course you had vets that have won the cup and some that haven't. My biggest takeaways from this, though, were definitely towards the beginning and basically the two guys that really went towards the end. Will Ospreay, of course, being bad luck Fale, once again proving that, hey, I could beat heavyweights and I could also do a Stormbreaker on them, which he did for the win. And then you have one of my personal favorites, Tomohiro Ishii, the Stone Pit Bull. He beats Taiji in the very opener, and this, of course, will lead towards multiple matches between the two. And again, that's the beauty of New Japan Pro Wrestling. They build feuds through matches, and they make sense. And it's all about, okay, proving who is the better man, who deserves to be champion, etc. My style outlives your style. Because Tomohiro Ishii is a guy that's no nonsense, but he's also a guy who wears his scars proudly. He refuses to show weakness, even if people want to assist him. He's like, no, I'm fine. I'm going under my own power. But anyway, it wasn't until Tomohiro Ishii faced Rainmaker Kazuchika Okada that was a turning point in the cup because Okada, and by the way, these are both members of Chaos, Okada won in a near time limit match, I believe, and these two again brutalized each other, but they have huge respect for one another. Following further in this, you also had Lance Archer who broke out here, but he didn't go that far because Will Ospreay in the second round, I believe, he beat him. And then I figure about Zack Sabre Jr., who is a former New Japan Cup winner and beat the ace himself, Hiroshi Tanahashi. He beat someone that truly shocked me. I thought I was going to go farther in this, especially since signing a lifetime contract. He beats Kota Ibushi in the opener. I was like, what? That destroyed my bracket because, stay tuned, folks. When New Japan Cup comes, we'll be doing a bracket where we think who's going to win the whole thing. Damn it! Anyway.
It'll be evil. No, I'm thinking.
Maybe. Maybe. I'm not going to cut him out, obviously. But Zack Sabre Jr., he fell to someone he beat previously, but he finally got some redemption against him, the ace himself. Hiroshi Tanahashi caught him with a victory roll, and Zack Sabre Jr. blew a gasket. And this was, of course, to set up things to come as well. And then you have in the very beginning, oh my gosh, this rivalry. This was the start of it, in my opinion. Before Ibushi got eliminated as Zack Sabre Jr., he did get past the opener because he did beat Tetsuya Naito. And I could not believe it. That was one of my hardest matches to call, but I digress. But as we progressed with the New Japan Cup, it was Okada and Sonata that made it towards the end, as Sonata conquered two of his biggest rivalries and obstacles in his way as he continues to build himself as a single star. And boy, was he like a top-tier breakout star this year. Sonata beat Hiroshi Tanahashi in the semifinals, but before that, he even beat Minoru Suzuki, and you all know what I'm about. Kasaninare! And boy, does that rivalry go a long way. In the end, though, this was the setup, probably what could be called rivalry of the year between Ospreay and Sonata. Ospreay and Okada faced each other in the semifinals too, and Okada beat Ospreay. Again, this will not be the only time these two would face each other. But anyway, Okada and Sonata, they meet in the finale, and this would start what I would think is rivalry of the year. But in the end, the Rainmaker prevailed and won, I believe, his third New Japan Cup. And people, please correct me if you want. Again, I went through a whole.
It was the third. I read up on Okada. It was his third. I remember him winning, but I just didn't remember how it played out because that's how he was able to get his chance at IWGP Heavyweight title that Jay White was holding at the time.
Yeah, and basically this would lead to what Jay White said. He would just watch on, wait for his winner, and as we went to New York City for this special, now we're in April, G1 Supercard in Madison Square Garden, a co-show ran by New Japan Pro Wrestling Ring of Honor. I gotta just say this right now, I only cared about the NJPW half much more than Ring of Honor. Sorry, it's just the way I am. But hey, shout out to Kelly Klein and Myra Tommy for an incredible women's match and the only women's action on the show. Yes. Anyway, before the show, though, there was a press conference, and they basically revealed a brand new, beautiful-looking IWGP Heavyweight Championship. And, of course, Jay White's like, don't put my name on that yet, but you should plan to, because I'm going to win that. And the fact that you aren't giving me that title now as I head into the Garden is an insult to my greatness. And, of course, Okada just maintaining cool and collective. But there is a lot of really fun moments, though, from this show overall. You think about the opener, the Honor Rumble. Hey, there's your Honor Rumble. You got your cheeseburger appearance, Cindy. The fact that it started out with Minoru Suzuki coming out as number 2, and that pop. Oh, my gosh. I was like, okay, King, you're dead. And Minoru Suzuki went the distance in this. And then we had fun moments where the coach, Rizusuke Taguchi, he came into play, Rocky Romero came into play, and we all know how much Rocky Romero hates another particular person in New Japan Pro Wrestling, Bushi. We literally get the coach leading a train of Ring of Honor New Japan Pro Wrestling stars just attacking Bushi. And eventually, Minoru Suzuki's just looking on and chokes out Taguchi. It was over the top rope Rumble, folks. But towards the end, it really picks up when you get one of the most dangerous men ever in Fatu, a longtime veteran of Bullet Club. You get some fun edge between Toei Yano and Kukabana, who, of course, built a mutual friendship, some would say. But then towards the end, you get Jushin Thunder Liger and the great Muda. Are you kidding me? Only for Kenny King to freaking come in the end and win. But hey, at least he got mystery. I was like, damn you! Hey, you deserve that. But that was a fun opener. And then I look at Will Ospreay and Jeff Cobb, two men that were going with incredible momentums, both for the title. And the theme of this show for some of the matches in the early half was, of course, when Ring of Honor and New Japan Wrestling face each other, title for title, winner takes all. Jeff Cobb beats the Aerial Assassin, and he holds both the Never Openweight and the Ring of Honor TV Championship for days to come. Of course, he would drop that title in a multi-man match, the Ring of Honor one, to Shane Taylor, and he would drop the Never Openweight title to one of my personal favorites, Taiji. And I'm talking about Taiji and Suzuki-gun. I'm just going to say Ishimori instead of Taiji so I can distinguish between the two. Then following this, we get the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship match between Bone Soldier, Taiji Ishimori, defending his title against Dragon Lee. And you want some Ring of Honor? They inserted this guy because this guy, he has had incredible momentum, and he's been one of my favorite stars to watch. Bandito. And these three put on a clinic. And Bandito showing some incredible agility and strafe maneuvers. And we had a new champion in the end, as Dragon Lee became the new IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion. In my opinion, this was like the first moment the crowd really picked up. Now, I would talk more about the four-way tag match, but that's kind of a dark note for reasons. But the bottom line is this, and GOD proved it when they just tossed the damn titles aside. And that's pretty much was, I'm done with you. That pretty much stopped the tie between New Japan Pro Wrestling and Ring of Honor. Bottom line, GOD won both the Ring of Honor title, and they kept their IWGP Heavyweight Championships against the Briscoes, Villain Enterprises, PCO, and Brody King, and Evil and Sonata. Sorry, Chris. And then following that, we get into basically, Ring of Honor, they had the again, I'm focusing on New Japan Pro Wrestling here, folks. Not disrespecting Ring of Honor, but this is my heart. We then get the matches that really carried the show. Kota Ibushi versus Tetsuya Naito 2. But this time, it was for the IWGP Intercontinental Championship because Kota beat Naito in the New Japan Cup. What the hell are these two men's necks made of? And you see how much Kota Ibushi values the Intercontinental Championship, unlike other companies. And because two of his gods, as he calls them, held that title. The ace, Hiroshi Tanahashi, and of course, the king of strong style, Shinsuke Nakamura. These two put on an incredible, hard-hitting, some would say cringe at moments, bout with some crazy spots off the apron to the floor, including a pop-up, Hurricane Rana. Kota, you're freaking insane. But in the end, Kota Ibushi really ascended and became and gave that title a new shade of white that was well-respected and won the Intercontinental Championship. What a freaking match that was. And then we had, of course, Zack Sabre Jr. and Taka Michinoku, who I never thought would come back to the U.S., versus Hiroshi Tanahashi, speaking of him, for the British Heavyweight Championship. Because, again, Zack Sabre Jr., he lost to Tanahashi in the New Japan Cup. He wants to prove a point. So these two have an incredible match, but unfortunately, the ace can't catch a break. And he taps out. Yep. And Zack Sabre Jr. continues Sabreism and holds on to that title. It was a rough run for the ace in the early half of the year, let me tell you. From the top to just brrr. But I digress. Anyway, then we go into the main event. And I'll shout out to my friend Courtney. Go follow her podcast, We Were the Switch Babe. Because Jay White, and she was there live, lucky, to watch the entire event, as well as our Team ADQ member, James Hubert. He saw Jay White versus Kazuchika Okada. And you clearly discussed what happened here because you saw it and you heard about it. What happened? Okada, he once again makes it to the top. And Okada is once again, to the enjoyment of everybody, IWGP Heavyweight Champion. And that
made it 6-1.
Yes, it would be. And that would conclude this incredible hybrid show from Madison Square Garden. These two went back and forth for, I think, about 35 minutes. Multiple rainmakers. Of course, Jay White, he was using his brain, but he paid for his defense with Okada's offense with shots and drop kicks. And after one rainmaker, Jay White kicks out. We were bloody shocked. He never could pull off the Blade Runner, but when he did, Okada could out that, and it took like I think 2 more Rainmakers back to back at one point for Okada to finally win and also neutralize Gato. For Okada to finally win and be back on top of New Japan Pro Wrestling with what he loves, pro wrestling and that title. Which brings us now further into April, where Kota Ibushi is proven how much he wants to really showcase and elevate the IWGP Intercontinental Championship. But go ahead.
So let's start. I just want to say one thing though too. With that Jay White and Okada match, that actually was a way for a champion to lose. That's one of the best match examples for a champion to lose by still looking strong. Because how often does people kick out of that Rainmaker during this time? Not very many people, except Omega. Omega may be the rare exception to that rule, but not many people kick out of one Rainmaker, and it took 3 Rainmakers to beat Jay White. Now, me personally, I wasn't really thrilled about that because this was the only time in history where that championship seemed to be transitional. We talked about this before. That championship was not changed that often, that quickly. So it went from Omega to Tanahashi to Jay White to Okada in such a short span from Wrestle Kingdom till we got to that event. And that's something, if you look at the history of the IWGP Championship, has never happened in that short of a span ever in its history till this year.
That's a very good point. But to be fair, at least Omega had like a 6-month reign. He had it since Dominion, which we're, of course, getting to in June. But to wrap up April, we passed the G1. Okada reigns. All other things have to continue. So Kota Ibushi's trying to raise the prestige of the Intercontinental Championship, and he ends up defending against Zack Sabre Jr., who not only beat him during the Japan Cup, he also proved his point after G1, retaining his title, trying to prove why this title is more important than your Intercontinental title. And these two close that show and have a cracking main event. But on the road to, Dontaku, Kota Ibushi, he basically put up his Intercontinental title, and Kota won, which led us towards, oh good lord, it led us towards freaking Kota Ibushi versus Tetsuya Naito, which of course we'll get into a little later. As we get into the road to Dontaku and Hiroshima, Roppongi 3K, they successfully defended their titles against the former champs, Bushi and Shingo, by simply doing a suplex with a bridge and Sho retaining Shingo. Again, that is a match waiting to happen. Which we now come to May 4th, Wrestling Dontaku, where we get a debut. You saw the weird vignette, you saw the weird blah, 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 blah. And I knew right away who it was because I watched WCPW and I watched Defiant Wrestling. El Phantasmo, ELP, coming off an incredible British Cruiserweight Championship match, ladder match I might add, against the product himself, David Starr. ELP debuts and he is part of Bullet Club and he is tagging with Taiji Ishimori against Will Ospreay and the champ himself, Dragon Lee. And we start off one of the other rivalries of the year between Ospreay and ELP. These men that they thought they knew each other, in Ospreay's words, but in the end, Ospreay is dealing with a whole different person, as ELP pins him. ELP pins Will Ospreay in his debut. Now, I'm going to talk about a match that I'm sure you will love to speculate on, because I'm not going to tell you who won it. These two men, they say they're bound by destiny, but it was truly a heavyweight slugfest. On that same night in Wrestling Dontaku, my boy, the Stone Pit Bull Saying Chaos, Tomohiro Ishii, faced your man, Evil, in an all-out specials match that was a physical, brutal war that I haven't really seen the likes of since Tomohiro Ishii faced the wrestler, Katsuyori Shibata, back at Wrestle Kingdom a few years ago. So, what did you think happened during this match? And if you were to look at a match between Tomohiro Ishii and Evil, what would be your thoughts on it?
As much as I love Evil to win, I have a feeling Ishii would win that match in an all-out brawl. I love Evil. He's one of my favorites, so you're going to hear this a lot, that he became one of my favorites people. And he actually, later on, when we talk about G1, he actually won me some points and did, like I said, he's one of those interesting characters I like. So I know people might leave in the comments, I don't know why he likes Evil. Guess what? It's my opinion. I like Evil. Deal with it. So, but either way, in that kind of a matchup, as much as I love Evil, I can see Ishii winning that match.
And you would be right. And these two nearly killed each other for a good 20 minutes. At one point, they were literally clotheslining each other so much when they came in contact, they back up against each other and fell backwards in the ring. But it was a vertical drop brainbuster that gave Tomoyoshi the win. So if you get a chance, go to Wrestling Dontaku from, excuse me, folks, from May and go watch Ishii vs. Evil, which also would be the same night for Okada versus Sonata. If you remember from the finale of New Japan Cup,
Yes.
he started calling Sonata his rival and said, when I win the IWGP Heavyweight Champion, you, me, let's do it again. And these two did it again, but this time for the title. It was the first title contest for Sonata this year for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship, and it set the benchmark for this rivalry, and it was Okada versus Sonata 2. In the end, though, the Rainmaker, he won. And Sonata looked very, very strong, and Okada officially declared Sonata his rival going from this point forward. And clearly Okada wants more from Sonata and wanted to do this again. Sonata brought everything out he could here, but it just wasn't enough to put down the Rainmaker, which now brings us into the best of the Super Juniors. As you all know, New Japan Pro Wrestling runs these multiple tournaments each year with certain divisions, thus giving some people some respites, less wrestling, but then putting a focus on a particular division. This time, however, was focused on the junior heavyweight division. And who ran through it like nothing? And I called it day one. Shingo Takagi, freaking MVP, ran the gauntlet. All 9 of his blocks. Perfect score of 18. However, that is not to dismiss the efforts of many of the other great men in this tournament. As through the best of the Super Juniors, and by the way, Juice Robinson commented for most of this, it was a lot of fun. And they had some Ring of Honor, involvement per se, with Jonathan Gresham and Ice Girl. Whoop, whoop, whoop. That I thought was pretty good. But what really surprised me here were matches like Bandito versus Will Ospreay, who were both in the B block. Taguchi, who many thought was like, this is his reincarnation. He's going to win this whole thing. He had some impressive performances, and he even beat ELP. That's saying a lot because that was one of ELP's first losses on his incredible momentum through this tournament, antics and all. But also, probably the most emotional match before the finale was Rocky Romero, who had one of the lower scores, but probably the biggest win of his life, handing ELP his first loss in a near time limit draw match. And then we go forward and we see a rivalry developing and maybe some internal struggles with a certain person and his faction. As Robbie Eagles and Will Ospreay, who know each other very well, basically they go at each other. But Robbie Eagles gets the match kind of the way he doesn't want it because of anti by ELP, but ELP claims, did it for this, man. You did that for yourself. And this would lead for things to come. And also, of course, Will Ospreay and ELP, they met each other during this too. But guess what, folks? ELP, he wins again. That's 2 in a row over the Assassin. And that was my biggest takeaways from the B block, besides the opener, I might add, of finally Sho versus Shingo. These two did not leave anything to pass, all right? And this was just the opening match. You would figure you already saw the greatest match in this until we get to the finale. But you knew you wanted to see this one-on-one, and boy, did it not disappoint. And in the end, Shingo Takagi began his reign of dominance and proved why he is the better wrestler against Sho, who really tried to break out as a single star himself and show that he, no pun intended, that he can really go the distance himself. The shock arrow, as he calls himself. But that was an incredible opening match as well. And then, of course, you had former champ versus current champ, because Dragon Lee was in this too, and if he won, he would pick who he would face for his title at Dominion. Taiji Ishimori didn't do it. Taiji Ishimori failed to the champion Dragon Lee, so there was nothing left chance there. ELP, Robbie, and Ospreay, there was kind of a triangle story formed between them, as we'll get into later. But then I go to the A block and I look at Dragon Lee, who lost also to Shingo Takagi. That was the other big upset, May would say, in this tournament. And in the end, Sho, for his first performance, he ended with 10 points. Not a bad performance at all. Ishimori lost to Kawamura and Takagi, which cost him from going after the IWGP Heavyweight Champion and this tournament as well. And as we get towards the end, we get these weird vignettes of someone that you would think is a British wrestler at a bar. And I'm like, okay, Hourglass, Circle, who is this guy? I'm trying to think of British wrestlers with kind of like a renegade style. And that was like, okay, my first thought, okay, maybe it's Mark from Ring of Honor. No, I guess it's not. But then I try to think of other people, and then I look at comments, and I see other people's thoughts about this, and I'm like, who is this person? And it's like Juice Robinson constantly is just in this state of question, but also worry as he, continues his way through this, from an outside standpoint. But you see more and more and more from him that it's like, I think I know who this is, and I'm worried. Someone's contract finally ended, and he was set loose. It was none other than MOX, Jon Moxley.
Yep.
Jon Moxley saying he is coming to New Japan Pro Wrestling, and who is he coming after? The current IWGP United States Champion, who has successfully defended his title against the likes of Chase Owens and others, and coming after that title against Juice Robinson. And so the match was made. And so we're at the finale, where now we know what the finale will be, as we had our top winner for A block and B block. Will Ospreay pulled it out in the end. But again, he is facing somebody that has yet to be pinned or submitted since debuting in New Japan Pro Wrestling last year in October through Los Economos de Japón, the Dragon, Shingo Takagi. So now we have our finale set up and our special match set up for the United States Championship, which leads us into the finale. First off, you talk about a hell of a debut for Jon Moxley, just coming in through the audience, not going against conventional ways. He literally came in there with just, leather jacket, straight up tights, black wrestling boots, and then you can see Juice Robinson coming in flamboyant as ever. He's wearing like an odd hat, but he takes it off, and I'm like, whoa, he cut the freaking dreads?
Yeah.
He had that option when he first came into Japan Pro Wrestling, but he said no. Cutting your hair is almost like a state of shame in some cases, pretty much, when it comes to Japanese pro wrestling. Just think about Hiroki Goto versus Minoru Suzuki from Wrestle Kingdom. I digress. But anyway, these two have a cracking match, and in the end, Jon Moxley, he made an all-out fight. He did it to his style, but he's like, oh, I'm sorry. Respecting, of course, Red Shoes, Red Shoes. But in the end, Jon Moxley, he wins his debut and wins the IWGP United States Championship. No one saw this coming in a million years. But we know of the history between Juice Robinson and Jon Moxley since they both came up through SCW. Well, you talk about a shocking moment. Now, on to probably one of my top 5 favorite matches from New Japan Pro Wrestling, as we get Will Ospreay versus Shingo Takagi. Chris, I gotta ask you, did you watch this match?
I watched the Moxley Juice Robinson match. I can tell you that for sure, because I was in shock that Moxley won the IWGP US title in his debut. But that was a way to make a statement, and what they did with him afterwards was another statement. We'll get into as we get to the G1 how that all played out. But as for this match, no, I can't honestly remember off the top of my head if I did. I did watch it or not, because I've been trying to catch up so much. Like I said, folks, you'll hear this during the video until we get to G1. I didn't really start getting into this until I got to the G1. I knew bits and pieces. I knew a lot of the history. So some of these matches, I'm learning stuff for the first time listening to him. Then it's like, okay, that's how it makes sense how Okada became the more contender and beat. That makes it. That's when you're hearing me learning stuff for the first time, too. So until we get to the G1, I'm learning stuff, too, for the first time. So just bear with me.
Hey, glad to help you. Will Ospreay, Shingo Takagi, if you can, go watch Best of Super Juniors finale. Go watch that match. Dave Meltzer gave that match, broke the 5-star scale, and it was the match that made Will Ospreay, but also declared Shingo Takagi, okay, I ran the gauntlet, but this guy, he's got this division. I need to become a heavyweight. And these two went, and again, there was no time limit. These two went for 40 minutes. They threw everything at each other, pumping bombers galore, made in Japan. Will Ospreay just kept coming out, but Shingo Takagi, he would not stay down after multiple freaking Spanish fly arrow maneuvers, hidden blade offense. These two went all over the place, outside the ring, inside the ring. Shingo Takagi demonstrating the power here, while Will Ospreay demonstrates the dexterity and the speed. And in the end, Will Ospreay, he said he was going to slay the dragon. He's the first guy to do it. He beats Shingo Takagi and wins the freaking Best of the Super Juniors, and then makes a statement that truly declares him for life. I am moving to Japan. As far as we know, Will Ospreay is NJPW for life. You talk about an incredible moment, but then also just the admiration and just the love for professional wrestling and Japan Pro Wrestling. That was a huge, huge stride for Will Ospreay. And since he won that, he gets to now challenge for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship against Dragon Lee at Dominion. And by the way, that wasn't the only thing that was pretty much going on here, because, as you know, we do get, the IWGP Heavyweight Champion showcasing a tag match, but he gets called out. I don't have a hat, but we have a new back in the form of Chris Jericho. He called it, I can't believe Chris Cass called this, and he called it at the beginning of this year. Chris Jericho, the Painmaker, challenged Kazuchika Okada for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship at Dominion. I'll be damned. And basically, Okada's like, no nigger knows that. What the hell's a Painmaker? Well, he learned it pretty fast.
Yeah, he did.
As we head into Dominion, which is, of course, a highlight special for New Japan Pro Wrestling every year. You think about the type of matches that come out of this, like Tetsuya Naito versus Kazuchika Okada for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship, and, of course, the 65-minute clash between Kenny Omega and Kazuchika Okada. We also had Chris Jericho versus Tetsuya Naito for the Intercontinental Championship, etc. I could keep going, but I'm not going to. So Dominion starts off first by Shota Umino, who would quickly become Jon Moxley's running mate as Jon Moxley continues his way from New Japan Pro Wrestling. Basically, I guess you could say, giving this young lion a hard lesson, but really grooming him. As Shota Umino, Jon Moxley had a fun opener, but Jon Moxley, he friggin' death rides him into the mat for the win. Moving on from there, though, we get Shingo Takagi, who officially decided, I am now going to the heavyweight division, so he challenges one of the legends of New Japan Pro Wrestling themselves, former IWGP Heavyweight Champion, Satoshi Kojima. And I had one question for my mind. How many times is Kojima going to slap Shingo Takagi? Because he just goes, wah! And I'm like, stop already, you're carving in the man's chest. But in the end, it was a huge first step forward for Shingo Takagi as he beat this legend. Then moving on from there, we get Taiji from Suzuki-gun versus Tomohiro Ishii. Because before this show, Taiji challenged Jeff Cobb for the IWGP Openweight Championship and won. But he also interrupted Tomohiro Ishii in a post-match interview saying, I want you to be my first challenger for this. Because if you remember from the New Japan Cup, also one of my favorite matches, Tomohiro Ishii beat Taiji, and he basically called out Taiji for, you don't need this. Show me you're a wrestler. Show me what you got. He prevented him from using a mic and the blue bag, and these two had one of my favorite matches from the New Japan Cup. Again, Tomohiro Ishii, no nonsense. He wants the best out of you. He just wants a freaking fight. So bring it to him. See if you can break him. Well, Taiji didn't. And basically this match was made for the never openweight title, and guess what? Once again, Tomohiro Ishii is never openweight champion. Taiji, one of my favorites, one of the four black horses, as they called them, from the dark age of New Japan Pro Wrestling that didn't originally come out in New Japan, but came into New Japan and went along with it, but didn't get the respect and admiration like the others, like Tomohiro Ishii. Come on, man, get up there. Jeez, but I digress. But that wasn't the only thing that happened, of course, besides more wrestling. We had a tremendous return and another newcomer, the wrestler, Katsuyori Shibata. He makes his presence known, but not on his own. Who does he bring with him? As he said, one of his only friends within his small inner circle of friends at this point. Kenta! Hideo Itami in New Japan Pro Wrestling. And basically, he declares one thing. I'm here to show you Kenta Pro Wrestling. I am here to be in the G1. Yep. What? Oh, by the way, I almost forgot. Jon Moxley in the very beginning, he also proclaimed that he wants to be in the G1 too. It's G1 season. Time to build that bracket in that field.
Oh,
and basically from there, Shibata's like, listen to this. That is it. So moving on from there, we get Dragon Lee versus Will Ospreay. And I believe this will be like Dragon Lee's last match as far as at New Japan Pro Wrestling. He's still wrestling in New Japan Pro Wrestling under different stuff in the U.S. for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship. And this is where Will Ospreay states his claim to why he wants to lead New Japan Pro Wrestling and this division into the main event. As he and Dragon Lee weren't the main event here, but had one hell of a match. And in the end, Will Ospreay, he beat Dragon Lee to become IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion in a match to be remembered. And of course, he states now that he also is going to be in the G1. You think about a man that just assimilated Junior Heavyweight, but he wants to do everything in New Japan Pro Wrestling. There's no limits to this guy unless you set them up yourself. And here we are, Will Ospreay, he declares himself in the G1. Everybody's like wanting to be in the G1. But then we go to a feud continuing. Oh my lord, this man's neck. Kota Ibushi versus Tetsuya Naito 3. And this time it is for the IWGP Intercontinental Championship. That freaking spot where Kota Ibushi hit the apron of the side of his head first, my god. And then Kota, of course, channeling his inner gods, as he calls them, going that dark spot, clotheslining Naito in the next week, hitting the Bumbaye, but couldn't hit the Kamagoye. In the end, Naito kept working on the neck with Poison Ranas and other moves, and he finally hits a Destino, not once, but twice, and he pins Kota Ibushi for the IWGP Intercontinental Championship. Because again, Tetsuya Naito, he proclaimed one thing he wanted to do. He wanted to hold both IWGP Intercontinental and IWGP Heavyweight titles at the same time. Mm-hmm. And so we have this continued catchphrase going throughout the year, and it would come to fruition as we continue. Which leads us into the main event. Rainmaker versus the Painmaker. Kazuchika Okada versus Chris Jericho. Now, I gotta be honest with you here. There was no doubt in my mind Okada was going to retain. I thought he was going to Rainmaker him in the next week. But the way this match played out, and the fact that Jericho used Okada's style against him to the point Okada got frustrated and even put out Rainmakers of his own, it was really interesting how Okada got the win in the end. He just got him in a simple wrestling move, a roll-up. But it wasn't without consequences. As the Painmaker says, he never fails. Well, he didn't, as he denied the crowd the go-home address and, hey, thank you, and I will be champ, make it rain, blah, 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 because he destroys Kazuchika Okada. And when we think he's about to end Okada's career, who comes out for the save? Person on commentary, the ace himself. Hiroshi Tanahashi. And basically he saves Okada, but Jericho proclaims, hey, Bakahashi, you want to give all my business? Huh? The Painmaker never loses. Enjoy your night, bitch. And basically I was like, oh, this is not the last we're going to see of Jericho. They're setting up Jericho versus the Ace. It's just a matter of when and how. And basically during the backstage interview, he's like, he wants to get my business, I'll kick his ass. You know what? Maybe I'll put myself in the G1. How about that? I will become IWGP Heavyweight Champion. I'm not done with Okada, and I'm not done with this stupid country either. And basically he left. And then we go back to the arena. Instead of just getting a go-home entrance, we just get the loudest boo you probably heard all year from New Japan Pro Wrestling, as they were denied a go-home speech. Jericho leaving the biggest impact of the night in defeat. That is why he's the GOAT. Which brings us.
And that's the one thing too in that match. You think about it too. If you watch Okada matches, how many times do you ever see him win a match without hitting a Rainmaker up until that point? Not very many times up to that point. Jericho was he is the GOAT because of the fact he made Okada wrestle a different style in storytelling. He frustrated him enough where he wasn't able to hit the Rainmaker, wasn't focusing enough, and had to do something different. And he beat him with just the old school roll up and got the shock win and retained his title, shocking Jericho. But Jericho told a great story. He always is great in New Japan. If you ever think about it, any of his matches he loses or he wins, he builds a story to a next opponent, whether he wins or loses. He's always building to that next rivalry. And here, as we know what's going to happen here coming up at Wrestle Kingdom, he's building up to that next rivalry with the Ace in New Japan.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. Tetsuya Naito was literally set up the day after Wrestle Kingdom where he faced Kenny Omega and lost, okay? So Jericho, there's no limits to the guy's creativity and what he will do to push the wrestling business and himself. Basically, though, after that, we go to another series of events called Kasuna Row, where ELP and Taiji Mori, they form a tag team, and shenanigans and all, they win the IWGP Heavyweight or Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championships from Roppongi 3K, much to the chagrin of the Tokyo crowd, and, of course, Taguchi. We also then go into an Australia special, where Will Ospreay and Robbie Eagles and ELP finally comes ahead. As Will Ospreay says, I know the real Robbie Eagles. I know you didn't want to win like that. I remember giving you this flag. I remember giving you the invitation to Chaos. You chose Bullet Club for other reasons. But you don't need them anymore. You clearly don't. Clearly, you're about wrestling. Clearly, you are at a state now where you don't need the Bullet Club. And the Bullet Club don't need you. They don't appreciate you. I know you, Robbie. So let's have the match for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship, and let's make it the match that people remember of all time. And so Ospreay and Robbie Eagles, they put on a clinic, as Robbie Eagles was escorted by ELP, but he wanted him away, and basically ELP just goes to a corner and sits in the chair, mostly doesn't get involved during the match. And we have an incredible back and forth encounter between ELP between Will Ospreay, Bosch, and Robbie Eagle, Sniper versus Assassin as was tagline, because this is Robbie's home turf. He carries Australia on his heart, spreading how well professional wrestling is in Australia to the world. That's what he is about. And basically, it showed here. It was a tremendous match. ELP, he did get involved towards the end, but it didn't matter because in the end, it came down to the back and forth maneuvers and storytelling that Ospreay and Eagle set up. But in the end, Will Ospreay, he won. And we clearly saw the shaky ground that Bullet Club was on when it came to Robbie Eagles, as he pretty much did not leave with ELP. I think he actually knocked him out to a degree. But he didn't join Chaos at that point either. He was still kind of in a state of uncertainty. But he did what was best for the hometown crowd there that truly appreciated what Robbie Eagles and Will Ospreay did and what Robbie Eagles is about. And as you move forward, you saw Rocky versus ELP for the British Heavyweight Championship, and Rocky, of course, coming off that incredible win from Best of Juniors. Yeah, ELP made sure that did not happen again. He low-blowed him and made sure he rolled him up. But what was interesting was the event I didn't watch the following day because I was in school. And Robbie Eagles, after the main event, officially declares himself out of Bullet Club and saves a beatdown from Chaos and joins Chaos. And Will Ospreay and Robbie Eagles are officially now on the same page, best of friends. The Birds of Prey are formed in the weeks to come. And that is basically going into June as we finally get into now when you joined me in New Japan Pro Wrestling Journey, the summer. And what starts the summer in New Japan Pro Wrestling? The most prolific professional wrestling tournament of the year, the G1 Climax. Where do we begin? First off, the most loaded field to date, a very dynamic field, ton of first-time goers here, and there were MVPs, there was the usual, there were shocking wins, and there was matches to remember. Now, Chris, I will throw it to you. I want you to give me as much as you want on the G1. Who impressed you the most? Your favorite matches, your takeaways from it, and, of course, anything else you have. Talk away.
Oh, Lord, let me tell you what, folks. If you ever try to predict on this, let me tell you, this is 18 days worth of predictions. You had, if I remember right, it was 90 matches, not including the final match between the Block A winner and the Block B winner. You have 91 matches you are predicting on in 18 days. And when we did this, we predicted on ours at least 2 weeks in advance. We had to predict all of ours in there. So this was a contest between me, Noah, Big Kaz, Good Brother Chris, Cindy G. We all put our picks in. I'm going to tell you like this. Anything can happen because I had the lead from day 1 to day 11. Good Brother Chris had the lead from day 12, finished out winning by 4 points. He finished in first place. I finished in second place. I'm going to get my win on that against Good Brother Chris on this year's G1, I tell you, because that was incredible. But I will tell you what, you have a lot of matches here. I would recommend, my first one I would recommend is definitely Okada versus Kenta. That was an incredible match as well because Kenta, I believe at that time, he was undefeated, but Okada actually had a really good run, stayed undefeated till close to the end as well. Because what you will learn in New Japan, especially with the G1 as well, any tournament, if the champion wins, they get to pick who they face. So in the same scenario, had Okada won this, he could have picked who he wanted to face at Wrestle Kingdom. So there was an interesting scenario, which favors the champion. If he wants to pick some Joe Schmuckatelli, for example, he could pick whoever he wants to face in Wrestle Kingdom at that point if he won as a champion. But that was a match in Block A. Moxley surprised me how well he did. And, folks, I tell you what, now, me and Noah picked the same people in Block A. We picked Will Ospreay to win Block A.
Yeah,
unfortunately, that didn't happen. Will Ospreay had some good showings here and there, but not as good. Zack Sabre Jr., I thought, should have done a little bit better in the series. He had, like I said, but he didn't do as good as I thought he would have done. Evil as well. Evil impressed me. That's why I started liking Evil, because Evil got me some points and got me some wins here. Because Evil surprised a lot of people here how well he did. Lance Archer towards the end impressed me a lot as well. Jeff Cobb impressed me a lot as well towards the end. There was a few people that really impressed me. My favorite story was of Moxley, and I'm going to tell you why. This is when I became a believer in Jay White. I'm going to get to that story in a minute. Moxley was running it. He had 5 wins straight. He was running it. He was determined he was going to win this thing. And I will tell you what, and one of the biggest upsets still to date, Yano beat him.
You had to bring that name up. You had to bring that name up.
Yano. Now, in my bracket, I picked Moxley to win the Block B, and that didn't happen either. But, however, I picked him to get 1 loss, but it wasn't for Yano getting the loss against. It was Goto, which he did lose to Goto, too, which is another surprise. I picked that one. But Yano, I mean, this is what I get from Yano every time you see him. Good demonstration. That's what you get.
Spoiler master. So, he's the spoiler master. The name holds up for a reason.
Yep. But he did his job. What he did, that was incredible. That was a shocking moment. But I will tell you, the reason I started believing in Jay White more after learning a bit more was him versus John Moxley. I'm like, Moxley's going to win this. Moxley's going to win this. You watch the match, and you slowly going, damn, I think Jay White's going to win this. I didn't pick him, but I think Jay White might win this. All right, let's see if Jay White. And then by the end, I went towards more Jay White winning than Moxley winning. I love Moxley, and everybody who knows I know who he was before then and his character he is now. I've always been a big fan of his, even in his CZW days, so I've always been a big fan of the character. But like I said, Jay White, I started rooting Jay White, and when he won, I was really shocked at that, but I was really happy. I was cheering for that one. That was another impressive moment. But this G1 is, like I said, 91 matches total. You have to be really invested in watching this. And me and Noah did a lot of reviews from day 1 to day 2
on his channel. Night.
We did a review on every day. He did some by himself. I did a lot with him, and we did a conclusion because when it concluded, folks, we got into SummerSlam. He was in Toronto, and I had to finish watching the rest of it. So I knew who won the thing before he ever got back and finished. So we had to do I think it was day 15 all the way to the finale.
Yeah.
I will tell you what, if you want to watch a wrestling tournament, this is how a wrestling tournament is done. Because Block A had the last day, it was 1 or 2 people who were going to win the block. Block B was very interesting because you had 4 scenarios where Moxley could have won, Jay White could have won, Naito could have won, or Yano. Yes, I'm saying his name, Yano. Like I said, Yano had an opportunity to win because he got that win against Moxley. So it was the Block B, day 18. If you want to see some excitement, go to day 18 on Block B. That was really intense how that all played out. But in the end, we already know who won. We know who won. So that's why he's going to be challenging for the IWGP Heavyweight title against Okada here at Wrestle Kingdom. This is the point is, if you want to see a great series, go watch all this. You will learn a lot about these wrestlers. And what was interesting after this is all said and done, is how it set up a rematch with Okada versus Sonata 2. Because who was left out of this tournament was Sonata. And he was not happy that he was left out of this G1 series. And so we're going to end up getting later on the road the rematch of Okada and Sonata. And folks, let me tell you, I had to go back and watch the first match between Okada and Sonata after I heard they were having a rematch. And I was impressed with that match. So I thought Sonata may have Okada's number and get the win in match number 2. But we'll get into that here in just a few minutes here. But that's a lot of my telling about the G1. That was the most excitement in wrestling for a 2-month period. That lasted for a while.
Yes, it did. It's the most prolific, enduring wrestling tournament of the year. And these people go through it, and it is not easy, but hey, they love it. All right, so let me see. Let me go ahead through a few things of my thing here. So as you put it, John Moxley with an incredible debut. He came out of this thing with 10 points, 5 straight wins. He beats the likes of Tetsuya Naito. He beats Jeff Cobb, Shingo Takagi by submission, I might add. He changes his style based on who he was wrestling. He wasn't just, all crazy and stuff like that. It's like, oh, you forgot John Moxley? He changed the question. And what was probably my favorite match from the G1, he and Tomohiro Ishii tear into each other. It's like 2 wild dogs trying to fight over the last bit of food and making sure the other one isn't breathing to get it. And these two went the distance. And Tomoe was like, okay, I heard you're a wild dog. Let's see how wild you are. And you want to fight? Okay, I'll give you a fight. Moxley comes in, and he literally just goes straight up to Ishii, headbutt first, and it's on before the ref could even finish ringing the bell, and the announcer could finish the names and tell you the match. And this match was incredible. And it made Tomoe Ishii, which I never thought I would see, come off the top rope and splash Moxley through a table. What the hell? He is not a Super Junior. That right there, man. That match alone you should watch from the G1. But anyway, let me go ahead and just talk a little bit about each block. So, as you put it, Chris, Okada was pretty much on an undefeated streak as he went through pretty much everybody. 7 wins per se, only 2 losses. He would lose to his rival Sonata, seconds from a draw, and he would also lose to the Golden Star, Kota Ibushi, who was really out here to prove a point and already was kind of endorsing himself that I can become a main eventer. I can main event the Tokyo Dome after already beating the likes of Hiroshi Tanahashi. Anyway, Zack Sabre Jr., though, he had a mixed performance. He loses to Sonata in a very competitive match. I believe it was also opening day in Dallas because the G1 opened in Dallas. And Zack Sabre Jr., he blows a gasket because Sonata doesn't submit him. They just jockey for roll positions. One. Finally rolls him up, and Zack Sabre Jr. loses to Sonata. But he also loses to somebody he beat back in the New Japan Cup. Redemption. Zack Sabre Jr. loses to Kota Ibushi. And to add even further insult, Tanahashi beats Zack Sabre Jr. Zack Sabre Jr. was like a petulant child during all this because he couldn't believe it. However, there was a match of 2 classic British wrestlers here between Zack Sabre Jr. and Will Ospreay that Zack Sabre Jr. did come out on the winning end of and was like, hey, let's do that again. That's what wrestling's about, but I told you I'm the better wrestler. Anyway, Tanahashi, he has a bunch of mixed fortunes. He opens the G1 in Dallas, and this is a rivalry years in the making against Kazuchika Okada, and Okada beats him, literally beats him, not a draw. Tanahashi, he also loses, of course, to Kota, but I think he sees a lot of himself in Kota Ibushi, so it was more like a passing of the torch because previously he beat Kota. And we know how much respect that Kota has for Tanahashi, as well as reverse. Because Tanahashi's a guy that's not like, okay, good match, I respect you. He really looks at your ideologies and you as a worker, a professional wrestler. Hence the kind of mixed feelings after Kenta versus Tanahashi, where Kenta beat the Ace. And the Ace refuses to shake Kenta's hand. Kenta, of course, opening the gate in Dallas against Kota Ibushi in a match that was truly kick, and basically Shibata watched from the distance, and Kenta, he wins his opening, but he also has a very polarizing performance against the Rainmaker himself, Kazuchika Okada, who in the end does beat him, but he also does endorse him. He gives him the handshake, and it's like, okay, I see what you bring. You got a lot of good stuff for you. But then you go towards tag partners that seem like friends that are both trying to go out for the same thing, because Evil, for a while, he wasn't doing the fist thing. He kind of was like, I need to go out on my own. Hence, we get Evil and Sonata. And your boy, Evil, beats his own buddy, Sonata, which was really an interesting turning point for me, fans. Evil might actually go the distance here. And then I look at Evil, and he also beats Kota Ibushi. So it's like he really, really wants to win this. And he also beats Zack Sabre Jr., but he doesn't go after like the British heavyweight title. Evil had a bunch of pretty good performances during this. And then, of course, the pinnacle match of the A block, as you put it, was Okada versus Sonata. Sonata coming off the IWGP Championship loss, and also the win, the loss from New Japan Cup, so he was 0-0. And basically, this is just a little like singles match within 30-minute time limit, and within seconds, less than 30 seconds, I think, Sonata, he pulls it out with the cold skull, finally weakens Okada enough, keeps it in place, pulls off that aerial moonsault, and he pins the IWGP Heavyweight Champion 1, 2, 3, and hands him his first loss in the G1. Finally, somebody stopped the unstoppable when I thought it was impossible. But in the end, Okada and Kota, they met in the finals, tied at 14 points, and Kota beat Okada. I honestly did not see that coming, and really wins his first. Well, no, he does it before. He wins the A block. These two end as the leaders with 14, while everybody else had 8 points. A very good showing across the board on average for most people, except for Archer, who had a very strong opening, destroying Will Ospreay in his home state of Texas. but he fell short and gets the lowest score, 6 points. I don't know if he's going to be in the G1 Climax 30. That's just my opinion on that. But now we go to the B block. That was much more dynamic, as you said, was held down by one guy until Spoiler Master turned the favors into everyone else's favor. You got John Moxley, who debuts, and he beats some of the biggest names there. Taiji, Tomohiro Ishii, Tetsuya Naito,
Yep.
and Shingo Takagi. And then you have Goto, who people wonder, can he win the big one anymore, okay? Does he deserve to be in this? And he pulls us some tremendous wins, including against the likes of Jay White, and as you put it, he did also beat John Moxley. And he also ends with 10 points. Then you got Tetsuya Naito, huge favorite. He goes in here with a bit of a rough start, and literally his match with Taiji is, I believe, the first match Taiji actually used the Iron Glove for the win. And the only match he literally used that. Since those fortunes, though, he beat Tomohiro Ishii, he beat Juice Robinson, he beat Hiroki Goto, he beat Jeff Cobb, and he beat what probably was my favorite match by him, Shingo Takagi, a match robbing all the way back from high school, apparently, when they were just, sparring. And apparently Naito lied about, I won. It would not surprise me one bit if Shingo Takagi and Tetsuya Naito, they face each other again one-on-one, and I would love to see that match. In the end, Naito won that as well. But then you have the most unconventional winner of this block, NJ White, who drops his first 3, I might add, but he literally says what he's going to do, and he runs the entire thing. He beats the remaining 6, including Tetsuya Naito, to determine the block winner, face Toru Yano, beating John Moxley. And John Moxley losing to Juice Robinson as well, which was really a redemption match for Juice Robinson.
Yep.
I still couldn't believe it. But in the end, everyone had 8 points, and Yano with the shockers, and Shingo and Goto had a very aggressive finals match that basically eliminated Shingo, but he still got a huge win, and which also eliminated Goto. And of course, Taiji from Suzuki-gun, he also not only beats Naito, he also beats Tomohiro Ishii, who of course is still the never openweight champion. Now, the fun thing about this G1 is we got our winners, okay? Kota Ibushi, he wins the A block. Jay White somehow, he ends the night B block action, winning the B block. But before we got to the winner of the B block, there was something. No, actually, I guess that didn't happen that night. Yeah,
it was after.
Yeah, the finale. So we go to the finale.
Oh, it's finale. You're right.
A couple of things happened. First off, special tag match: Suzuki-gun versus Chaos. There's one guy in here who was vocal a little bit, and then just kept quiet. But he just had this constant, death look, and it came to fruition against the champion, because Minoru Suzuki, he pins the IWGP Heavyweight Champion after a God-style pile driver and claims why he wasn't a D1, and I want that title. Hand it over! And so we get a title match set up that I was so damn excited for days to come. But that wasn't the only shock of this night, as Kenta was with Chaos members, a special tag against Bullet Club, and as it looked like we were going to get a hot tag from Tomohiro Ishii to Kenta steps down and goes backwards. He joins Bullet Club, and in the end, when Tomohiro Ishii, the fighter that he is, tries to get the advantage to DOD, he helps DOD win by putting Ishii to sleep, which brings out Katsuyori Shibata, who actually pulls out some moves that shot the crowd. We weren't sure if he could ever wrestle again. But in the end, Kenta, he basically gets endorsed by him as a heel, as Shibata wanted to do. And Kenta stands tall with GOD and is part of Bullet Club. And GOD endorses him as the future top-tier superstar. Which leads us to the finale. Jay White versus Kota Ibushi for the G1. And at first, we have the entirety of Bullet Club with Jay White. So you knew this had to go in Jay White's favor. Red Shoes, he wasn't going to hear it, wasn't going to allow it. I love Red Shoes. And basically says you all have to go, but of course Gato being the deal maker, he says, I'll stay here. I stay corner. I'm not going to do anything, yeah? Okay, so we just got Gato in Jay White's corner. But Gato, he gets caught, and he gets ejected. He had a one-on-one match for quite a while. Kota Ibushi, of course, channeling his inner gods, per se, and his dark side, trying to take out Jay White, but the ref gets inadvertently taken out. So who comes out during that? Gato himself, who tries to be the difference maker. And he almost was, actually, until he got caught. And basically, Rocky Romero, he jumped out of commentary after the ref regains composure and gets rid of Gato from ringside. Okay, I'll get him. And we get towards the end. They counter for counter for counter. And finally, he hits not one, but two Kamagoyes for the win. Ibushi wins his first ever G1. Ecstatic the entire audience is, but Gato couldn't believe it. Like, don't you lie to me? No, that didn't. No. Yeah, it happened, and Rocky Romero was ecstatic. Rocky Romero endorsed everybody to beat Jay White because, he hates him. But then Kota Ibushi, he proclaims this announcement that now I'm going to go into the Tokyo Dome and become IWGP champion. Do not give up on me. I will lead New Japan Pro Wrestling into a golden era. And so that was the end of the most prolific wrestling tournament of the year. But not what Kota Ibushi stands for. Because at the press conference, as we see him getting a world certificate, he suggests the following. He wants to main event the Tokyo Dome. He wants to be IWGP champion. But what if I win the IWGP champion and then I challenge for the Intercontinental Championship? Because I feel that both these titles can be brought up to a level that would raise New Japan Pro Wrestling as a whole. Now, I'm not really sure what that is, but you just gotta believe me on this, and I truly believe that this can happen. And people couldn't believe it, and so we got the idea of the double gold dash. And what would it lead to, and would it actually happen, come to fruition, would it be approved? Only time would tell. But now we roll into a quick little sidestep from New Japan Pro Wrestling into the U.S., the Super J Cup, where one of the highlight matches was, and Will Ospreay made this happen, and he wanted to happen, and he believes this man should have the title. We got Will Ospreay versus Amazing Red in the opener. That was a match for the ages in itself. But in the end, as we progress through the Super J Cup, respect aside, we finally get Robbie Eagles getting his hands on ELP. They have an ecstatic match only for ELP to crotch punch him and roll him up 1, 2, 3. ELP's ace in the hole, it seems. For most of this, I might add. Taguchi, he had a nice technical class against Jonathan Gresham, the Octopus, one of my favorites from Ring of Honor. Sho beats Taiji Ishimori, finally, in a shocker, some would say. And then we get Ospreay versus Sho, and in the end, Ospreay and Sho, they put on a classic, but Ospreay wins. And we get Ospreay versus ELP 2. But again, due to Bullet Club shenanigans and dirty antics, ELP once again, he picks up the win in the end with the CR2. Sorry if I butchered that move. You go all the way to the end of this, and it comes down to ELP versus Dragon Lee, with Joseph Thunder Liger at ringside. And basically, these two, they put on a clinic, and someone gets busted open seriously badly. But Taijimori, he comes into play, tries to be a difference maker, then ELP comes out, he stops that from happening. Somehow, some way, ELP wins the whole thing, disrespects the trophy, snatches the jacket, gold jacket, very nice jacket, and also disrespects Joseph Thunder Liger. Will Ospreay wasn't going to have none of that. He comes out, but then he starts getting attacked by Taijimori. There's a 2-on-1 assault, and then Robbie Eagles comes out for the save. We're starting to set up Birds of Prey versus the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champions. And Ospreay talking about how New Japan Wrestling is the best fucking wrestling in the world, etc., etc. But also, during this, we go into a special from jolly old England, as New Japan Pro Wrestling presented Royal Quest. And this was headlined by a number of things. We first have had the Birds of Prey truly come to fruition, as they came together as a tag team for the first time ever, it seemed, and they beat the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champions in a non-title match, but still a huge win. Following that, we go into basically some mind games, per se, on Jay White and how he would try to insert himself in this double gold dash picture. As he and Naito, they just share smiles, they, share victories and stuff like that. And here is where Bulls and their opponent, they pick up a win over Bullet Club, but they kept jogging back and forth, smiling at each other, taunting the title, because, Tetsuya Naito can't stand the damn IWGP Intercontinental Championship for reasons. And basically we go from there. All right, which brings us into, well, we knew this was going to happen after the freaking incident. Tomohiro Ishii versus Kenta. You talk about a aggressive match. I
And what
hate.
was on the line, though? You remember what was on the line, right?
Of course I do, because that seems to be the thing anymore with this title. It's not so much about its own class, it's about you're going to be brutalized and brutalize your opponent if you want to win this damn title. It's the
Yep.
never openweight championship. What I hate about this match, though, is towards the end, from a match standpoint, God came in and they helped friggin' Kenta get the win.
Yeah.
However, I do get the storytelling as we talk about it. Now, I'm going to let you talk about these next two. Zack Sabre Jr. versus Hiroshi Tanahashi for the British heavyweight championship. What was your thoughts on that? You know why this match, because Tanahashi beat him back in the freaking G1.
Yeah, I know that, but I've got to remember if this was the match. This is the match that Tanahashi beat him for the title, because I know
It
we talk
was.
about it later on. Yeah, because this is the match I did not. I was shocked that Tanahashi, the ace, won the British Heavyweight Championship here. This match was incredible, though. But I will tell you what, this is a match I was shocked on. This is the one predictions that I did. This is the worst I did all year in predictions, was this event right here. Because I swore that Zack Sabre Jr. was going to tap out Tanahashi, but he didn't.
I
And
got it
Tanahashi won the
right.
champion. However, I was able to get my payback, as we'll go on here later on in this review about this stuff. I was able to get my payback on that. But this was an incredible match. This was by far one of my favorite matches, besides also the main event that we had with Okada versus Sonata, too. This was one of my favorite matches.
Yes, and we'll get to that. But first, let's talk about Minoru Suzuki versus Kazuchika Okada. You talk about a battle of
Mm,
challenging someone's will. That's what this was, because Minoru Suzuki, we all know he's
yep.
legitimately insane. He wants to dish pain, but he wants you to bring your best and bring him pain. Can you actually break him? And truth be told, Okada, he played Suzuki's game, suffered for it quite a lot. As you heard the shots that knocked him out, but he did bring the will enough to hold on to the title, which I kind of expected, but you know me, Minoru Suzuki, I was like, I still watch this match over and over and over. I love this. I know how huge it was for Hiroshi Tanahashi won the Red Pro British Heavyweight Championship, and that crown was ballistic, but this match right here, of course, is my favorite match of the night. What was your thoughts on Minoru Suzuki versus Kazuchika Okada?
Wow. That's all I can say about this match. Okada, they beat the shit out of each other. That is the damn sure. I will. That's how you pretty much. I can tell you this: they beat the shit out of each other, and Okada earned the right to retain that title because they go watch that match, folks. They beat the shit. That's my best explanation for it, folks. They beat the shit out of each other from
I
the
mean, they
opening
did.
moment to they
I
just
mean, they
that.
literally did. Suzuki literally want Okada to hit him as hard as he could. You
Yep.
saw him do this and go, because you know he's like, not away!
Mm,
Wolverine! Hit me harder, hit me harder! And then he kept
yeah.
hitting him, and eventually he's just laughing, and he just goes, and then he literally like brings him down. Crowd goes, shh. And then you hear that pop, that elbow, the torque behind it against his skull, that knocked his ass out.
Yeah.
First one, and then towards the middle bit, when Okada literally and you saw Okada's jaw was already screwed up. You saw the lip was torqued and everything, but he's like, "I'm gonna stand here and I'm gonna take this." And I think Minoru Suzuki respected that because he went, "Oh, okay." And I'll give Okada credit during that. He took not one, not two, and he literally restrained himself from grabbing the ropes. It took three to finally knock the man down.
Mm,
But when Minoru Suzuki knocked him down, he hit him in the back of the head and knocked him out. And I thought that was it. He went for the
yeah.
Costa Pod Driver the first time, but it didn't happen. And then towards the end of the match, you get the blizzard from Minoru Suzuki where he literally hits him like 35 damn times, refusing to let the man go down. And like, yeah! I fucking love Minoru Suzuki so much. But in the end, Minoru Suzuki, he felt insulted when Okada tries to go for the Rainmaker pose the first time, then knocks him out. And then the two are
Mm,
jogging for position for the Gustavo Power Driver. That didn't happen. Had him a sleeper hold. He counters that. Okada tries Rainmaker. No. Minoru Suzuki wasn't going to let that happen. But eventually, Okada hits the freaking Rainmaker, but maintains whisk control. And even after countering still bit, another Rainmaker dropped the king for the win. One, two,
mm,
three, damn it. But it did set up for, as you put it, because who comes out afterwards? Because as you know, after the G1, neither the champion or the certificate holder have just a free pass to
No.
Wrestle Kingdom. They have to prove why they deserve it against at least who they lost to. Who was the other person Okada lost to that wasn't the winner? Sonata.
Nada.
So Sonata came down and he challenged Okada one more time for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. And thus the title match was made at King of Pro Wrestling, as we'll get into shortly. But that concludes August. Now we go into September, where multiple things happen, including the Young Lions Cup. The Young Lions Cup, of course, showcasing New Japan Pro Wrestling's future for the LA Dojo, the New Japan Pro Wrestling Dojo, and the Fale Dojo. 8 participants participated here, and I was behind 2 in particular. Ren Narita, who had an incredible showing at Best of Super Juniors for 9 matches, even though he went 0. You cannot argue with the experience that little guy gained. And then, of course, you had the right-hand man, basically, John Moxley. He called him Shooter. That was funny. In Shota Umino, who literally came out with him every match with the jacket and everything. I felt learned a lot. And he and Ren Narita, they both went the distance here towards the end. In the end, it came down to Shota Umino and Cindy G's boy, Carl Fredericks. And I was like, and Carl Fredericks won the whole damn thing.
We thought it was going to be Umino, though.
I did too! Which
we did, but we both.
Umino sending out a letter on New Japan Pro Wrestling saying he's going off to excursion to figure out himself. Will we see him at New Year's Dash? Imagine that's a surprise. Only time will tell. And also, Ren Narita, he decided to join the same dojo that is being taught by Katsuyori Shibata that hosts the winner of the Young Lions Cup, Carl Fredericks. Ren Narita is now part of the LA dojo, and Shibata's like, I'm going to warn you, it's going to be hard. Harder than anything you ever faced. And I'm going to put you for the ringer. But you want this? You got it. And as we move on through the Destruction Tour, through Beppe, Kagoshima, and, of course, Kobe, where, of course, Kobe last year sent the shot of Gato and Bullet Club, Jay White, Ray Forming, etc. During this tour, we had Yoshihashi and Ishii, who started from a rivalry with G.O.D. They went after them, but Kenta intervenes and cost them a chance to become IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Champions. We also get Zack Sabre Jr. versus Tanahashi because Zack Sabre Jr. cannot believe he lost the title at World his breakdown, but he loves that title. Believes he's very like Western, should hold that title. And in the end, because Tanahashi tries to play Zack Sabre Jr.'s game, he loses the title to Zack Sabre Jr. in such a short reign. Ouch! Yep. And basically, Zack Sabre Jr. says, "Long live Sabreism, as you were." And basically, we also get Birds of Prey finally contending for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team titles, but towel belt to the head, crock shots, and screwiness, Bullet Club antics aside, the champs retain. And then we also get some more mind games from Tetsuya Naito and Jay White talking about Destino, your Destino, my Destino. And it finally came ahead when freaking Jay White low blow Tetsuya Naito and proclaimed, "You're the key to me becoming an IWGP Heavyweight Champion because your Destino is my Destino. We're destined for each other, Naito. We are both in this together, Naito, because it's not your Destino, it's my Destino." And JY is just like prolificating what he is, and he and Naito are like in this till the end, but he can't stand the man either. And then we get some other moments during this, including Minoru Suzuki unmasking Jushin Thunder Liger, and then, oh my God, what came the following nights? Jushin Liger trying to spike freaking Minoru Suzuki in the head, and literally was in an uncontrolled rage. And then towards the end, Jushin Thunder Liger beats the referee with a chair and proclaims, "I'm going to kill you!" And we have the match set up at King of Pro Wrestling over a decade in the making because Minoru Suzuki doesn't want Jushin Thunder Liger, he wants Yamada.
Now, here's a side note for you. When was the first time Jushin Thunder Liger debuted this character?
Oh, crap. Was it 2000 and...
Nope.
It wasn't? Nope. Wait, Christian? Oh, no, Christian was the 90s. Damn. Because someone insulted his mask. I forget who, though, because we only seen Christian like 5 times, I think. Because that's one of the rarest personalities that come out of Jushin Thunder Liger. But yeah,
what was the first matchup? And I actually had to double check, and I will credit Solid Monster Sounds off because he actually taught me this. I'd actually double checked that because I didn't remember that being the first time. I thought it was in the 2000s. I actually double checked, and it's in 1995. It was him versus the Great Muta.
Ah, Great Buddha, damn it! Ah, I should have known that.
And then here's the ironic thing is he used the mist on Muta, and Muta still was able to beat him.
Yeah, I know. I still couldn't believe that. But to be fair, we see now what Mist can do. It necessarily doesn't beat you. As Fusuke Taguchi, he beat Bushi, still had to be a Misted back at the best of Super Juniors.
Yep.
But anyway, going back to the Destruction Tour, we also got Kota Ibushi versus Kenta for the rights certificate. And Kenta, right out the gate before the match starts, he blasts Kota Ibushi and destroys the briefcase and proclaims, "This case sucks. I'm going to make it into Bullet Club when I beat you." And these two have an extreme exchange as well of kicks and strikes galore. And even GOD comes down and almost gives Kenta the win. But thankfully, Tomohiro Ishii and Yoshihashi, they prevent the super power bomb from happening, and they get rid of GOD. And in the end, Kota Ibushi survives Kenta, got his hair by the way, and retains the certificate. But we weren't done there, as someone in the distance was waiting on, and it was your boy. The other person that beat Kota Ibushi during the G1, Evil. And he proclaims that darkness will be falling in the Tokyo Dome, and I will beat you for that certificate to make that happen and make everything evil. But anyway, besides that, we also got at Destruction in Kobe the culmination of basically these mind games between Tetsuya Naito and Jay White, as well as a specials rematch from the G1 where Hiroki Goto gets his redemption against Shingo Takagi in a match that went even longer, and I loved it. And again, Shingo Takagi, he's just trying to challenge himself against the heavyweights and see if he can hold up with them. He can hold up with them, but he's had some mixed streaks, though. But apparently has one of the best win-loss pinfall records of this year. So, hey, good on him. But also was the shocking moment of that tour. Jay White beat Tetsuya Naito again, and now is the Intercontinental Champion and claims now Naito's Destino is his Destino, including mocking the LIJ roll call and Bullet Club roll call, including calling Pita. Anyway, who comes out, though, after this, though? Goto. Because Goto, he said the G stands for gold, and not only did Goto just come off an incredible win against Shingo Takagi, he beat Jay White during the G1. So basically, he has a right to challenge in his mind for the Intercontinental title. And I agree. Of course, Jay White, he denies that. Go figure. Anyway, moving on from there, we go to a special tour in the U.S. again. Fighting Spirit Unleashed. This was special for at least 3 reasons. One, it was Tiger Hattori's farewell, as he has been a referee for New Japan Pro Wrestling for over 3 decades. God bless the man. And he basically repped his last matches here. But he also helped a match go the distance. For the slack people give this guy, he had a hell of a shot at getting this title. And he has yet to get gold. Kenta versus Yoshihashi for the Never Openweight title was probably one of the longest matches of this tour and really went the distance. And GLD tried to interfere, but Tiger Hattori was like, no, you're not do that. You're not do that. He really pulled them by the ear. That was freaking funny. But in the end, Kenta, he does win. That was a special match. But we also get a lot of tease to set up for the momentum your guy can have against Kota, as Evil and Sanada face Kota and Okada, not only on this tour, but during New Japan Row, and beat them, with Evil pitting with everything is evil. Kota Ibushi both times, as Evil and Sanada proclaim, hey, let's main event the Tokyo Dome ourselves, because both Evil and Sanada have a chance to change history and be in the main event of the Tokyo Dome if they win their matches respectively. As we head into, we head into October, but we also continue with Minoru Suzuki continuing to insult Liger. But then we also get a little bit of subtle, I guess you could say, maybe trying to raise him up, but also trying to bring himself back into play here. Taiji from Suzuki-gun once again insults Tetsuya Naito, saying, you blew it. You can't do it. Maybe I can do it. Maybe I can freaking get the Intercontinental title. Maybe I can freaking be a part of the Tokyo Dome and main event. I don't know. I'm just saying. Anyway, now we come to one of the most prolific events of the fall. King of Pro Wrestling. Now, first off, this event was changed from a natural disaster standpoint. But I loved how they brought it together because, as you know, what happened in Japan? A typhoon that destroyed the New Japan Dojo. A lot of memorabilia was lost, but also saved, and it really hit a lot of people that were on this show tonight, including ELP, Will Ospreay, Rosa Tanahashi, and so many more. They also had to change the card for a couple of matches due to weather incidences, including a tag match that was changed into a singles bout, and Jon Moxley being relinquished of the IWGP United States Championship.
Yeah.
Supposed to face Juice Robinson for, but couldn't make it due to Mother Nature. There's the one thing that could stop him. Who knew?
And that's the one thing I still disagree with, though, at the end is how they they made him relinquish the U.S. title. Like I said, I'm going to get on a tangent on this real quick. I respect New Japan culture, but it's not his fault he could not appear due to a natural disaster. If he no-showed the event or he didn't feel like showing up, then I can understand relinquishing him of the United States title. But when it's a natural disaster, I think they should have done something a little bit differently than take away the U.S. title. That's just my thoughts on it. I still agree with that this day. I still think they shouldn't have stripped him of it because that natural disaster, you cannot help them. You cannot control anything that happens. Mother Nature has its own mindset. But they should not have stripped him of the U.S. title based on just that.
Okay. Before we talk about King of Pro Wrestling, is there anything you want to talk about up to this point that we discussed, like Tiger Hattori, Jay White's Mind Games, Tetsuya Naito, etc.?
This point of this year, this when Jay White was really starting to make me a believer in him being the one that's going to win both titles. But then again, as we get on to later on, my mindset had changed a little bit since then. But Jay White, this time, his mind games were unbelievable. Like I said, he's an incredible performer, and I'll say it again. I think he had short reign as IWGP Heavyweight title. I think he should have had a longer reign, but hopefully if it's building up to this Wrestle Kingdom here, then it'll be all worth it at the end, the storytelling they're doing with him.
All right, fair enough. So let's go ahead and get into King of Pro Wrestling. So first off, we get Taiji versus Naito. They're insulting each other, per se. And the match isn't really set up yet. They're just like messing around, more mind games and stuff. We don't know where Naito really stands. He's not really acting like the same Naito. And of course, Taiji, he's one of those guys who really doesn't give a damn, but he also still is out to prove a point. So it's kind of really weird. But then we go into, man, this match. 10 plus years. They said they were going to kill each other. I thought they were going to, but in the end, all Minoru Suzuki wanted was Yamada, and he got him. Mm-hmm. Chris, take me through, personally, your thoughts on Minoru Suzuki versus Jushin Thunder Liger and the aftermath.
Oh, I thought he was going to kill him. You don't see this kind of matchup with Jushin Thunder Liger becoming this character. Like I said, we talked about it 5 times. We just said it earlier. He debuted it in 1995.
Right.
So 5 times in this 5 times in this illustrious career he's had, to see this character is a special moment. And oh my God, these two. This is another one of those. Oh Lord, I thought he was really going to kill him.
Yeah.
Because that's one thing you don't do. You don't disrespect in Japanese culture or even Mexican culture of a masked wrestler. You never remove their mask. That is a complete and utter disrespect to their heritage and their beliefs with that mask. That is a high praise for him to even gain that mask. And we've talked about masked wrestlers on an episode of Holiday Break before, so we've had a long story about this. But for that to happen, oh, Lord, yeah. I thought he was going to kill each other, and the aftermatch I found really interesting as well. But like I said, this match, that's one of those matches you can go back again, just watch them both just do what they do, because they're about to kill each other.
Yeah, they were. First of all, it was like trying to wrestle Jushin Thunder Liger's game, and then it was trying to wrestle Minoru Suzuki's game, to the point he was like, shut up, ref. And Liger was going to literally try and kill him with a chair. And then Liger is just trying his best, channeling Battle Liger, by the way. He's trying to just take down Suzuki. And Suzuki wants him to. He wants him to bring his best. But he simply can't. He gets him a couple of times, some fake out some submission holds. And even Suzuki urges the ref to bring friggin' Liger up because he wants Yamada. He doesn't want Liger. He wants Yamada. He even yells his name during this match. And to Yamada's credit, he tries and tries and tries, beats the living daylights out of Minoru Suzuki. But Minoru Suzuki just laughs. And then he wants more. And then he puts him down. And then he puts him down again after he channels Yamada to get up. And Yamada does get up, goes, oh, like channeling Super Saiyan. But in the end, it was just not enough as he kept giving more, giving more, giving more. And finally, Suzuki decides to put him away. In a way, this was like really I guess you could say, closing for Minoru Suzuki and really a resolution because afterwards, you thought he was going to kill him, finish this once for all, but he didn't. What did he do? He threw the chair, took a deep breath, and for the first time that I can remember in a long time, he showed emotion and was human as he gave the ultimate form of respect and bowed down to Yamada. Because he didn't want Juice in front of Liger, and he didn't get him. He got Yamada and the best from him. And that touched everybody there, including me. And then how was this like closed in the end once for all? Liger gets up and simply says, Suzuki! Arigato. The end. Damn. You talk about a closer. My God, what a match. And then I thought, of course, this is just one of the first few matches on this multi-main event type show, right? Because we got this match, this match, this match. And guess what's next? ELP versus Will Ospreay, number 3. Good Lord Almighty. It took this long to finally come ahead, and it finally did. For the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship, after ELP has the tag team titles in the Junior Heavyweight Division, after ELP won the Super J Cup, which is also a Junior Heavyweight based event, after he's still British Cruiserweight Heavyweight Champion, he says he completes the trifecta for New Japan Pro Wrestling. He came this close to doing it. But here's the thing. I love the psychology played out here because at the heart, ELP, Will Ospreay, they both went up through that dojo. So obviously that did hit them heavily. What do? They basically quote a tweet that ELP sends out. And basically about tonight, no antics, just 2 men, let's steal the show. And frankly, these two did, but Will Ospreay was still antsy to shake his hand, and ELP for like the first 10, 15 minutes, he played completely fair. Until he accidentally, inadvertently, thumbed in the eye. And Gino Gambino, who joined the company basically this year as permanent commentary, good on him. I think he does all right. Better than Don Callis. He basically booed you, and he just rakes the hell out of the guys. Even after sending away Tajimori and Will Ospreay sends away Robbie Eagles and it's one-on-one. And then these two just well into each other. And then at one point, the pass hunched Gino Gambino because Gino did pile drive Will Ospreay during that Australian tour. And ELP gets thrown into Gino Gambino. It's like, whoa, what the... And then as Will Ospreay is going to go for a move, Gino blocks, and Will Ospreay eats a chair in the face. It's like, I didn't do anything. Anyway, they get back in the ring, and literally we get callbacks to past Bullet Club leaders, including AJ Styles and Kenny Omega from ELP, pulling out everything he could, trying to beat Will Ospreay. Very much making like, it's a sure fact, I'm going to beat Will Ospreay. It didn't happen. Even after the ref got taken out, Tajimori comes back out. He brings the title into play. He knocks Will Ospreay out with it. It was not enough to keep the assassin down, and somehow, some way, Will Ospreay finally conquers his toughest adversary to date, ELP. What a match. Is there anything you want to add to this match?
See, I love this match, but I had swore to ELP was going to win this match because remember, if we talked about his past predictions, if you go back and watch, I said that he was going to, ELP was going to win the title, the junior heavyweight title, then Ospreay and Eagles were going to, as the Birds of Prey, were going to go win the junior tag titles. That's what I said was going to happen. We'll talk about that later, but neither one of those scenarios happened.
No, they didn't.
But this was an incredible match, and I was glad Ospreay won this match, finally getting his redemption because he hadn't been able to beat him up to this point.
I mean, yeah, you got to break the jinx somehow. Also, by the way, I can't forget this. This was also a celebration of the ace of New Japan, Hiroshi Tanahashi's 20th anniversary in New Japan Pro Wrestling. God bless that man. And he had a great opening tag match as well as we celebrate the ace. Anyway, moving on from there. Well, you didn't care much about the way they handled it, but I'm just going to let you talk about it a little bit. What was your thoughts on what became Lance Archer versus Juice Robinson in a no DQ match for the vacant IWGP United States Championship?
Oh, surprised Lance Archer won, but I mean, I was happy it ended up winning when I'm thinking about it now because what we got set up. the whole build around this match with Juice Robinson and Moxley this was Juice Robinson's redemption. He got the redemption in the G1 Day 18 to be able to stop Moxley from winning the block and getting a chance to win the G1.
Right.
This was his chance to win the IWGP United States title back, which we thought was going to happen at this event. Fortunately, like I said, natural disaster happened. He got stripped of the U.S. title, so they did this match instead. This was a brutal match. I would have liked Juice Robinson to regain the title, but however, what they got played out for Wrestle Kingdom, I kind of understand now, so I have an idea on that theory. Yeah. Lance Archer winning, actually, now that I think about it, and I've had time to think about it, 'cause I was aggravated at first about the whole Moxley being stripped thing, and you can hear on my channel how I've been about that, but
now that
I think about it, but like I said, Archer winning was the right decision now that I've had time to look back and think about it. It was the right decision because of what they have set up now.
Yeah, and Lance Archer literally destroyed the freaking man. And Juice Robinson's like, okay, I accept. Because Juice Robinson was expecting Lance Archer. He was expecting Jon Moxley to finally beat him once and for all, even at Jon Moxley's own game. But in the end, Lance Archer, who's been making major strides this year and breaking out, he finally wins. Even after doing a blackout on steel chairs, though, it wasn't enough. That caused Lance Archer to do the Everybody Dies claw and literally pin down Juice Robinson for the win, incapacitating him. And thus, the Murder Hawk was born as IWGP United States Champion. But who makes a return to help his partner? David Finlay, who's about as crazy as Lance Archer per degree when it comes to punishment. And he saves Juice Robinson. But of course, Juice Robinson, he's disappointed. But then again, that's not even the match he wanted. So he might get the match he wanted, but we'll talk more about that in a little bit. Anyway, I'm going to leave this match to you because now we get into our double main event that determined Wrestle Kingdom January 4th main event. And obviously, I'm going to give this match to you because it's your guy. Let's go ahead and discuss Kota Ibushi's final obstacle in his way towards Wrestle Kingdom. His right certificate on the line against Evil. Chris, take it away.
This is actually the only match that I have not picked Evil to win so far this year, and you know that for a fact. Besides in the G1, because you can't pick him to win every match in 18 days. This only match I did not pick him to win. I wanted him to win. He was my favorite. I would have lost the point if he had won this match. I would have been cheering up for joy if he won this match. This match was a really good match. It was really well done. It's one of my favorite matches to watch this year on my top 10 list. If I think about it for New Japan Wrestling, I love this match. I was so happy. I was hoping that Evil could pull it off, but at the end, he wasn't able to. And that's such his life. But it'll be interesting to see what the future holds for Evil, though, in 2020. That's for sure.
Fair enough. Yeah, Kota Ibushi, and he took everything Evil had. Evil just could not hit everything as Evil, and I think that was the difference maker. And Kota Ibushi got him with Bumbaye, Kamagoye, knee combination for the win. It was hard to take down Evil, though. It's hard to fight, let alone beat Evil in real life, too. But anyway, these two put on a clinic. But then they got smoked by, finally, the culmination of the Rivalry of the Year and the match that Tokyo Sports, or at least New Japan Pro Wrestling, chose as their match of the year that I literally just got done watching before I started this video with you. Oh my gosh, number 8 overall, but Okada versus Sonata 4 this year. But truly, as you put it, number 3, the rubber. Kazuchika Okada versus Sonata IWGP Heavyweight Championship. What a match. My God. You cannot become closer than that to finally beating Okada. And you saw the emotional breakdown Sonata had, but Okada gave him the thumbs up. And nothing else was said out of context. But Sonata did everything he possibly could. I don't know how much longer you could have held Okada in the freaking skull end to the point that the ref could have said, he passed out, ring the bell. But of course, Sonata paying homage to his hero. He wanted, of course, win with the moonsault, but he just couldn't do it. And in the end, I don't know how many Rainmakers, I lost count in counters, but Okada did it again and freaking retained the title and is headlining Wrestle Kingdom once again as IWGP Heavyweight Champion. But boy, if Sonata is not a breakout star after this, my God.
Yeah, because if you got to think, though, too, I think we talked about before, Sonata had not ever been able to beat Okada until the G1, where he was able to get that win
Correct.
over Okada.
Correct.
So he had already had lost, I think it was 5 matches to Okada in history, because Okada had 5-0 record against Sonata, for Sonata finally got the win, and then
6-1.
was it 6-1 before? No, it was 6. I thought it was 6-1 going. Yeah, it was 6-1
It was 6-1 going into this match.
Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry, 6-1, because he was 6-0 against him until he fought in the G1. Sonata was able to get the win, and now he was finally had momentum going into everything. And then Sonata came that dang close. He could have won it, but then he decided he wanted to go for that moonsault. He had to go for it. He wanted to pay homage to everybody and do hit the moonsault, and that was what stopped it.
Yep, that's what happened. And basically, from there, Okada, he calls out, because now it's official. There's nothing else in either man's way. He calls out his opponent, Kota Ibushi, and he basically says that, I want you to bring out something you haven't brought me yet, but if you think you're going to beat me January 4th for this title and then go for the IC, you're crazy. And so the match was officially made and signed. Now, we already got our main event for January 4th, but of course we got other matches built too. There's still other matches to come. We still got a few things left. Let's go down now in November to Super Junior Tag League, where we got first-time teams that were breakout performances, like the Mega Coaches, Rocky Romero and Rizushi Shifuchi, who's been enemies, but now like co-coaches in New Japan Pro Wrestling. And then we got, let's see here, Birds of Prey. They had strong performances going through the Super Junior League. Sho and Yo finally beat the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champions. That was pretty much daunting on their elimination. There was a fun heel-based match where everybody got low blowed at one point between Taiji Ishimori and the ELP versus El Desperado and the heel master, Kazunori Shibaro. But in the end, Suzuki-gun, they won that match. And then towards the end, we get the Birds of Prey that got a chance of winning, but Bushi's like, I want to challenge you for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship. He's like, okay, we got this right now, but afterwards, I'll be happy to challenge you. And Bushi just walks away, nothing like that. But in the end, he makes the statement knows and makes sure he actually gets what he wants in case it doesn't happen, because Oscar might be too busy. He costs the Birds of Prey to win the Tag League. And so the Tag League comes down to the following two teams. It comes down to Roppongi 3K and El Desperado and Yoshinobu Kanemaru during the finale. And for the third year in a row, and I did not see that coming. Jeez. Freaking Roppongi 3K did it. I couldn't believe it. And that was, of course, one of our highlights of that night. But also, up to this point, we also got, finally, the match set up with teases and mind games of Hiroki Goto versus Jay White for the IWGP Intercontinental Championship. But also, we got Bushi versus Will Ospreay. And, oh, my gosh, I probably killed Red Shoes at one point during this match. That was ridiculous. And also, we got, not really for, it was for the title. Yeah, it was. Because he started trending like, Ishii's not tough. He's like a soft, fun guy, hashtag Tomo. I'm like, Kenta, you got a death wish or something?
Yep.
And this was the match I was waiting for, because it was legitimately one-on-one, no bullcrap, nobody interfered, and in my opinion, he deserved it absolutely to win. So, what was your thoughts on Kenta versus Tomohiro Ishii, number 2?
Wow. Kenta, like I said, I'll tell everybody, in the G1, I told everybody the real Kenta was back. This man came back in with a fire. He left the WWE. Sorry, I'm going to bring it up, but he left being a Hideo Itami, and he came back here as Kenta. Like I said, he came back in that G1, made a showing of it. He has been on fire. When he joined Bullet Club, that made him that made him even more of a credible heel with the help of the Bullet Club, helping him in different scenarios. But this man could go. I do not care what anybody says. This match can prove this man can go, and this man can just do it all. This is the Kenta I wanted to see in other promotions that we did not get the chance to see. This style, this aggressiveness out of him. This is a match, definitely. If you want to see one of the best Kenta matches, you can watch this match. Right behind it, watch Okada versus Kenta from the G1 series. These two were my favorite matches of Kenta's this year.
Well, there you go. And I mean, at one point, Tomohiro Ishii, he's literally punching and chopping Kenta's throat, causing internal bleeding. And I was like, oh, man. I mean, Ishii left everything out there. He did not go easy on Kenta at all. This was a brutal affair. And in the end, Kenta did it. He did it all by himself. But he didn't
Mm-hmm.
let one go to sleep. He made sure to send a statement with an exposed knee, second go to sleep, that put the Stone Pitbull down once and for all. What an aggressive match. But it wasn't the only match that night, as we also got, once again, Taiji versus Naito. 3. All the
Yeah.
insults aside, Taiji proclaiming Naito, you just don't have it anymore. Just stop, man. But in the end, Naito, he beat the daylights out of Taiji in another fun, short, about 20-minute classic. And then following that, I talked about how they won the tag league. But now let's talk about Bushi versus Will Ospreay, because Will was pissed and Red Shoes was practically killed. Chris, your thoughts on Bushi versus Will Ospreay?
Red Shoes was almost killed. I remember Red Shoes was almost killed. Osprey, man, like I said, he can perform. He proved at the beginning of the year his performances, why he could go up against anybody. He can go up against any heavyweight, any junior heavyweight. He can go up against anybody, and he's going to perform at this high level. This is one of those matches I definitely would recommend to definitely check out. If you haven't seen much of Will Ospreay, watch this match. This is a damn sure dominant performance. I love this match. I said the one I loved the most was the Zack Xavier Jr. versus Will Ospreay from the G1 because I love that style of wrestling. But this match here, I love this match as well.
Yeah, and I mean, out of the gate, Will Ospreay comes out, Bushi comes out, his weird gear and stuff like that. He just kicks them off, and they're outside the ring. Will Ospreay is pissed, but he's also out to prove a point why he deserves to hold on that title. And then Bushi, he gains the advantage working over Will Ospreay's neck, which causes Will Ospreay, of course, to do some super heavy breathing. And then towards the middle bit, when Bushi really couldn't pull anything together, he tries to miss him. What does Ospreay do? He covers the miss, and then almost looks like a kiss. But he literally channels the mist from Bushi into his mouth and blows it back into his face. And you just see Ospreay's hands and just the maniacal smile that he did. I was like, I've never seen that before in my life. That was sick in both ways of the word. And then he goes for the freaking Os Cutter and kills Red Shoes. Oh, Red Shoes was dead. Ospreay's face was priceless because he realized, oh shit, I fucked up. And now all hell breaks loose and it can go. And Bushi somehow channels, again, the toxic poison mist. There's still no referee. And we finally get Marty coming out as they just finally roll Red Shoes. Who, again, still dead pretty much. And then he gets a super close near fall after an MX, not enough. And it was a small MX. And then finally Bushi hits his real MX, closes near fall in the match. No, does not become champ. Eventually, Will Ospreay, he gets the advantage. He finally gets the towel and some water. He's still blinded, but someone can see. He pulls off crescent kick, suplex, Spanish fly combination, and then he finally gets him in the end with a freaking Hidden Blade Stormbreaker combination and gets the win. And he runs the gauntlet. He beat everybody. Who is next? Who? Anyone. Open challenge. Anyone. Well, Saka, until someone comes. And then lights go out, and like, what the hell? What? And I see this graphic. I hear the music. I see a fuse and a ticking time bomb. And then it goes off, and I see the number and the hours. I'm like, wait, I'm doing the math. Oh, he did the math for me. That's January 5th, the rest of the kingdom. And then it goes out, I'm like, okay, now what? I just see, like, Pixar background. What? And then I see a cat and a bomb, and Cindy's like going crazy, and then I see this countdown, more cats, and all of a sudden it blows up. You see the Titantron, like, no way, no freaking way, not since that debilitating, no effing way. Holy shit, he is back, and as crazy as ever. Milano broken down in tears. I listened to the Japanese bit of this, and the Japanese people were going crazy. I loved it. And basically, he claims that he's back. He's going to make this more and more and more fun than ever. But can I go? And what does he do to prove it? He literally plants himself in the ring. He throws himself into the turnbuckle, and he bridges on his neck and legs. But Chris Charles is like, well, he may have fixed his neck, but he didn't fix his brain. Mike, please. I was like, oh my God, yeah, he's back. Congratulations, Osprey. Now you are the best super heavyweight wrestler. But Hiromu is back.
Mhm.
I challenge you at Wrestle Kingdom. And I got instant gratification. I was like, yes! Yes! And they make it official, of course, and I cannot be more excited. And that wasn't even the main event. But what a match made for Wrestle Kingdom. Now we go into the main event of Hiroki Goto versus Jay White. Guy that you wanted, can he win the big one? He had a great showing in the G1 as well, some big time wins. But then you got Jay White, who basically says, "This destino is my destino. No one's gonna beat me for it. You can't beat me," etc. And in the end, Jay White retained. What more is there to say? I mean, since Hiroki Goto pretty much his last title I think was like the never open weight, I don't know if he really can win the big one anymore. He's at mixed fortunes when it comes to me. And then of course Kenta, comes to in
Mm,
the end, and they beat the crap out of each other. And of course Jay White he proclaims that now I am going to become the first ever IWGP World Champion. But who comes out after getting the momentum back it seems from Taiji? Tetsuya Naito. He says,
yep.
Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion. In order to do that, I need that belt back. Cue the Golden Star, who also comes out here and proclaims that I will be the first ever dual champion. And then, Jay White's just like, and then who comes out of that? Okada, and he's like, IWGP Heavyweight Champion, IWGP Heavyweight Champion. You want to be dual champion. You want to be dual champion. You want to be dual champion. Nanjiye! What the hell? Because Okada
No.
only believes that this is the title that you should be worried about and going
Yep.
for, and it should not be just packaged with this title. Because again, Okada only cares about that title, only contended for that title. He's never ever contended for anything else, including the
No.
Continental title. And of course, he couldn't believe it. So you know what? In the end, let's just leave it to a vote and see what the people think. Let's leave it to the people's hands. And then Jared's like, you know what? Just get the hell out of here, okay? I want my damn confetti. Y'all taking my moment away, all right? He talks a bit. He talks about the confetti. And as we learned later from New Japan Pro Wrestling, or at least I do, NJPW1972.com, fan poll was made, and more people approved of it. So, of course, the double gold dash was made official.
Mm-hmm.
And then we head into some fun events to wrap up the year. New Japan Showdown, San Jose. David Finlay challenged Lynn Sargent for the United States title. He lost. We get Osprey and Okada versus Kota Ibushi and Amazing Red. And guess what? Osprey and Okada, they win. Okada speaks language. He talks about this double champ thing. He almost said, "What the?" Don't say that. Don't say that. Oh, by the way, Tiger Hattori was also on commentary. That was a nice touch. Naito and Shingo versus Jay White and Chase Owens. Naito showing a much more aggressive side, it seems. Not saying much, just showcasing himself in the ring. And then you see Jay White kind of like maniacally panicking, per se, or trying to get in Naito's head, or still thinking he's in Naito's head. And then following that, we get a special one-match show, just tap out. I don't know if that's archives or new or not. Just in front of Liger faced Taka. And also, then we get the World Tag League, the last
Mm-hmm.
of the year. A lot of great teams debuted. It was a field of 16 teams. And of course, it was headlined by Yoshihashi and Tomohiro Ishii versus GLD, who have won the title league before, but they never won Wrestle Kingdom before. And guess what? They did not win the title this year, and they were my favorites, I think, besides even Sonata. And finally, Chaos gets some redemption, especially Ishii and Yoshihashi, over the GOD, the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Champions. And then, before we get to our finale, Kota Ibushi has a team, and just for a special match, Okada is also on that team. Okada teams wins. Kota just sees this, and Okada is just trying to bring out, I think, the worst in Kota because he wants that, because he thinks right now this Kota can't win. I think he just did that because what does Kota do? He drops him with a briefcase shot to the head. Damn. And literally seemed to be stuck in that state where he's just like, I can't be stopped. I'm going to destroy anybody. I have no emotion. Gino Gambino's reaction, though, what? That was freaking priceless, man. And then following that, we get a special tag as well between, Suzuki-gun and I believe Los Ingonados de Japón. And Minoru Suzuki and Lance Archer wins. But who comes out? Jon Moxley.
Mm-hmm.
And he literally comes into the ring. He stands face to face with the like, you're not getting this. It's mine, bastard. This is not mine. Then what does he do? He drops Lance Archer and plays with Death Rider. And then drops Minoru Suzuki with a Death Rider back to back and proclaims, I want my belt back. And I'm going to get it back. Tokyo Dome, Texas, death match. I'm like, what the hell? Oh my God in heaven. And then he goes for a table, tries to trade Lance Archer, and next thing you know, Lance and him, they're fighting away at the back, and they're still fighting. And then we go to the finale. Evil and Sonata, your boy and his partner, who at this point didn't even have anything for Wrestle Kingdom, I might add, versus a team that really broke out, that Cindy supported, that haven't won this at all, but really needs something as well, and have nothing to go on Wrestle Kingdom either. Juice Robinson and David Finlay, FinJuice, with incredible performances that really made them stand out this year in the World Tag League. Chris, tell me for your thoughts on this match and the winner.
Oh, Lord. I wanted Evil and Sonata to win. I had predicted them. Now, I'll tell you what, the moral of this whole story is I think this is the only match I got wrong on my predictions. That's how I actually have the New Japan Predictions title for Team IndyQ right now after with this show. But, man, this match here was incredible. I wanted Evil Sonata to win. You were always going to hear me say, if this comes to Evil, I want him to win. Unless I figure logically there's no way he's going to win. Now, I'm going to want him to, but logically storytelling is not going to make sense. Juice Robinson and Finlay to win this match was pretty good. That was actually something different that people weren't really expecting. Because when you look at Evil and Sonata, you're going, okay, they're going to win. But look at the record they've had. Look at the showing they've had. They're going to win this. They had an incredible showing in this World Tag League. But at the end, like I said, Juice Robinson and Finlay won. And that did surprise me. I was actually more surprised about that. It's like second most surprised because definitely the one big surprise of the year was the whole Yano beating Moxley, which I'll still never forget that.
I'm never going to forget that either. Also, by the way, my bad, Minoru Suzuki and Lance Archer, they beat the team of Kenta and the Tokyo Pimp, Yajiro. They had a very interesting chemistry during this, and Kenta developing a really interesting backstory with the camera, I guess, backstage. I'm sure Peter was more involved in that, too, because, you know. But anyway, FinJuice hands the undefeated Evil and Sonata in this World Tag League the one loss that prevented them from winning. And in the end, FinJuice, they win the World Tag League first ever, and they challenge GOD for the IWGP Tag Team Championships. And that match was made official. And then following this, we basically British Jacob, nice little showcase. ELP was in the finals. A guy named Michael Oku wins for that. And then on the road to Tokyo Dome, the biggest outburst besides that was, besides the fact Hiromu Takahashi has not won a single match since coming back yet, and also Will Ospreay has been rubbing in his face, and Will Ospreay and Okada have been leading this whole thing, Bushi, in an impromptu match against Zack Sabre Jr., pins the Rev Pro British Heavyweight Champion. However, the match was made official because of past history and the fact he has beaten him. Sonata will face Zack Sabre Jr. for the British Heavyweight Championship. And basically, that sums up the entire year of New Japan Pro Wrestling for 2019. So let's just go ahead and let me just tell you all the card real quick for this show, if I can find it. We got a incredible 8-man tag team match. Juice and Thunder Liger retirement match number 1. He's going to have a retirement match on both nights. Oh, that was the other thing. During Juice and Thunder Liger's last match before the Road to Tokyo Dome, he gets an impromptu video conference from who's now known as Ryu, who was used to be known as Dragon Lee, who basically said it would be an honor to face him in his very last match at Wrestle Kingdom. But it wasn't going to be one-on-one because Juice and Thunder Liger also wants to face a man who came back from a debilitating neck injury. He also wanted to face Hiromu Takahashi. Hence, this impromptu tag match was made. So right now, our Wrestle Kingdom card is as follows. For day 1, it is 8-man tag special. Yuya Uemura, Yoshitatsu, Tamaki Homa, and Toga Makabe versus Alex Coughlin, Clark Connors, and Carl Fredericks and Toru Henare. And this is the pre-show, by the way, folks. And by the way, history made. There is a dark match in Wrestle Kingdom from Stardom between former Stardom champions and Hana, and I forget the other girl's name. I don't have it in front of me. My apologies. But I'm going with Team Mayu Itami and Arisa for the win. I was just saying that.
And you got the former Women of Honor champion in there as well.
Yep, Mayu Itami. and one of the most leading members of Stardom. Anyway, also opening show, we got Yuji Nagata and Minoru Nakanishi versus Tenkozy, the team of Satoshi Kojima and Hiroyoshi Tensen. We also have Choose a Friend of Liger match number 1, retirement match. Team Liger consisting of Liger, Tatsumi Fujinami, the Great Sasuke, and Tiger Mats 4 with El Samurai versus Naokai Sano, Shinjiro Otani, Tashuko Takiwawa, and Rizusuke Taguchi with Kuranagi Kobayashi, special referee Norio Honoga. Apologies if I screwed up any of those names. Then we get into the show. We have LIJ versus Suzuki Gun, Bushi, Shingo Takagi, Evo Sonata versus El Desperado, Taiji, Minoru Suzuki, and Zack Sabre Jr. Hey, Minoru Suzuki is on the main card. Good. He deserves to be. And then we have Chaos with Bullet Club tag match. Yoshihashi, Toru Yano, Tomohiro Ishii, and Hiroki Goto versus Chase Owens, Yujiro Takahashi, Balak Fale, and Kenta. And then we have the championship matches. IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Championship, GOD versus Finjuice, IWGP United States Heavyweight Championship, Texas Deathmatch, Lance Archer versus John Moxley, IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship, Will Ospreay versus Hiromu Takahashi. Then the Intercontinental Championship between Jay White, Tetsuya Naito, and the Heavyweight Championship between Kazuchika Okada and Kota Ibushi. And then come day 1, that is day 1. Now we go into day 2. Oh, wait, before we do that, hey, look at the timer. 10, 9, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year!
Happy New Year!
We're in the new decade, people. Welcome to 2020. Thank you, God. Now bring us more professional wrestling. Go drink a little bit of the bubbly. I can't believe I'm still awake. I don't want to watch Steve Harvey ball drop because I miss Dick Clark. I got a timer of my own. Happy New Year, Mom, if you're still awake. Yes, we made it, folks.
We did make it.
Glory. Hallelujah. All right. Anyway, day 2 is as follows. The opening match would be Never Overweight Six Man Tag Team Championship Gauntlet match. Rizuki Tsuji, Togi Makabe, and Toru Yano will defend their titles against Robbie Eagles, Yoshihashi, and Tomohiro Ishii of Chaos, and Bushi, Shingo Takagi, and Evo of LIJ, Yoshinobu Kanemaru, El Desperado, and Taiji Suzuki Gun, and Chase Owens, Yujiro Takahashi, and Bad Luck Fale of Bullet Club. Then we have Juice Thunder Liger's retirement match number 2 between Juice Thunder Liger and Naoki Sano versus Ryo Lee and Hiromu Takahashi. Yep, the world's blowing up. Then we have IWGP Junior between Bullet Club, Taiji Shimori, and El Phantasmo versus Roppongi 3K for those titles. Then we have Red Pro British Heavyweight Championship between Zack Sabre Jr. versus Sonata. And then, based on what happens with the United States Championship match, it will either be Juice Robinson versus Lance Archer, or Juice Robinson finally getting the match he really wants, Jon Moxley. Mm-hmm. And never openweight title will be on the line between Kenta versus Hiroki Goto. And the 2 non-champions from day 1 will compete in day 2 in a specials match. So we're either going to see Kota Ibushi versus Jay White, or Okada versus Tetsuya Naito, or Naito versus Kota Ibushi, or Jay White versus Okada. It's going to be one of those 4 matches. Same thing for the double championship match. But before that, we're getting Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Chris Jericho. And it has officially been said that if Hiroshi Tanahashi beats Chris Jericho, he will cross that forbidden door into All Elite Wrestling and challenge Chris Jericho for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. The Painmaker. Oh, man, you really, really, really got your work cut out for you. And last but not least, we will end Wrestle Kingdom with the winner in the Double Gold Dash and the new IWGP Heavyweight and Intercontinental Dual Champion. Will it be the Stardust Genius Tetsuya Naito, the Rainmaker Kazuchika Okada, the Golden Star Kota Ibushi, or the Switchblade and Bullet Club leader Jay White? And then we head to New Year's Dash, and that card will be known at bell time. But that is what awaits us, ladies and gentlemen, for 3 days now from today.
Yep.
And that officially concludes this special, extended, once-in-a-lifetime for sure, I think, extended series of a Silver Man's Rant in wrestling for New Japan Pro Wrestling's 2019 and the beginning of 2020. Thank you, everybody, galore, for tuning in to my rants and our listenings and our analysis, our discussions, our favorites, our moments, our, grievances, and much more, and your Wrestle Kingdom preview. We will be back Friday, me, Chris, and the rest of Community Q, Friday night at some point, to discuss and predict in its entirety Wrestle Kingdom 14 as the start of the Community Q Predictions League for 2020. But with that being said, Chirs Mace, Happy New Year to you and your family. This has been an extremely fun way to welcome in the new decade for professional wrestling. Is there anything you want to plug, and where can people find you?
Oh, wow. Well, I want to tell everybody thank you for everything that's happened in 2019. We're in 2020 now, officially now. Well, my time, I still got 57 minutes where you're at. We're officially into the new year. So with that being said, I'm humbled the fact that I got 120 subscribers. That's very humbling and honoring at the same time, too. Just got a lot of new plans for 2020, a lot of new guests I got set up here down the road. Going to continue with my NWA Power Show. Going to continue to be Noah Foster's co-host on the 205 Live Matters. Got a lot to look forward to. Hopefully get back on some tea parties, some chopping blocks, different things like that. Special appearances on other shows. Stay tuned for that, though. And with that being said, like I said, you could always like, share, subscribe to everybody's channels, show support for the NX team. You can always go to my wrestling content list on my YouTube channel, The Holiday Chirs Mace. You can find all the newest episodes from all their shows. Like I said, great listens. Everybody's got a different opinion about wrestling, but that's what makes us all different. One big dysfunctional family. That's what I'll say the least.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Simple as that. And if you want to know more about me, know this. I am just a simple man. And if you haven't figured it out by now, I am a lifelong fan of wrestling. So if you want to follow me and talk anything wrestling, New Japan Pro Wrestling, the Five Brands of WWE, AEW, NWA, Ring of Honor, Impact Wrestling, Independent Wrestling, Sport Impact Wrestling, folks, and anything as wide as professional wrestling, look me up on Twitter. NoDQ.com/Noah Takes my Twitter page, or at @Foster1916. You can also follow me on Instagram, #SilvermanInLife. You'll find food, you'll find comedy, you'll find hellos, and you'll find moments in wrestling at @Foster1916 on Instagram. You know what? Evolution. If you are a kind person and you want somebody that will bring a positive influence in your life, you can look me up on Facebook too. It's literally Noah Foster. Just look for me in a bubble. Also, please follow my little YouTube channel here, youtube.com/user/Noah Foster 210. You'll find all sorts of wrestling content here and nightly organized playlists for you, reviews, recaps, discussions, predictions, and so much more. New content to come in 2020, including post-review streams. Also, if you haven't figured out by now, support NoDQ. They're the reason I'm in YouTube, forever indebted to the NoDQ family. Thank you, Aaron Riff. Buy a shirt, buy a tapestry, buy a sticker, buy something. Just do it. NoDQ.com/merch takes you to the store. Follow NoDQ on all your social media platforms. Your opinions matter. There's a comment section of everything. Polls, columns, memes, gifts, reviews, recaps, sexy female pics, and much more. You name it, it's there. Professional wrestling, mostly WWE with a little bit of independent wrestling and AEW. Please join my #205Matters Facebook group where we discuss cruiserweight wrestling, then, now, and forever. 205 Live brand and beyond. Support all my friends, of course, and their content. Support us all in professional wrestling. And as always, I like to close. Support your wrestling outlets big and small. Let's keep growing this incredible, diverse, unique, elite wrestling community together as we start this new decade and new year. Simple as that. With that being said, thank you so much again for tuning in. What did you enjoy the most in New Japan Pro Wrestling 2019? What do you look forward to them in 2020? Yes, I know there's discussions about them no longer being on TV with Access TV. Yes, I'm aware that their CEO or chairman, whatever, might be stepping down. Yes, I'm aware Minoru Suzuki might go back to professional wrestling no because he hasn't been happy until he had the Jews in front of the Liger program. And yes, I'm aware that there are rumors now speculating galore what is going on between AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling. We're all just going to have to wait and see. But I will be back this Friday with Team NJPW to predict Wrestle Kingdom again as a whole. I'll be back after Night 1 goes through with a live post-simple review, so stay tuned for that. And until the next video, take care, enjoy life, Happy New Year again, and enjoy wrestling. Tomorrow's never guaranteed, so treasure every moment you have. And until next time, again, please like, share, subscribe, comment, tell a friend, hit the subscribe button and bell. I hope everybody, either in 2019 or now in 2020, take care, stay warm, stay happy, stay content, enjoy wrestling. Get excited for Wrestle Kingdom and give New Japan Pro Wrestling a chance if you haven't already. And have a wonderfully good night.
Have a good night, everyone.
And again, Chirs Mace, thank you. Internet, thank you. And Happy New Year to all of you. Goodbye, everybody.
Indeed.
Funagi, number one. Bye. Katsaninare. I had to say that.